It block out the noise, block out the doubt, block out the hate. Because greatness doesn't grow in chaos, it grows in clarity. You know what's killing your dream? It's not your lack of talent. It's not your background. It's not your background. It's not your failures. It's the noise. It's the distraction. It's the opinions of people who ain't doing nothing with their lives telling you how to live yours. If you're going to win, if you're going to be legendary, you've got to learn how to block out the noise. You got to tune into the frequency of greatness. You got to lock in on your vision like your life depends on it, because it does. Let them talk. Let them laugh. Let them doubt you. While they gossip, you grind. While they party, you push. While they sleep, you sacrifice. Greatness doesn't shout, it whispers. And if you want to hear it, you got to get quiet. You got to shut out everything and everyone that's not aligned with your purpose. Don't let that noise drown out your destiny. Let me tell you something. There's a voice inside of you. It's still, it's powerful, it's truth. And you can't hear it when you're drowning in everybody else's drama. Silence the world, and you'll finally hear yourself. You're not here to be like, you're here to be legendary. And legends, they don't move to noise. They move to noise, they move to vision. Your greatest threat isn't failure, it's distraction. See, most people out here are scared of failing, scared of messing up, scared of taking a shot and missing. But let me tell you the truth. Failure ain't your enemy. Distraction is. Because failure can teach you something. Failure is a part of the process. Every successful person you admire has failed more times than you even tried. But distraction don't teach you nothing. It just steals from you, quietly, silently. While you're busy scrolling, watching, drifting, it's taking your time, your energy, your focus. And by the time you realize what's happening, it's already gone. Another day wasted. Another week you'll never get back. Another year spent wondering why you're still stuck in the same spot. Let me be real with you. Failure makes you sharper. When you fail, you learn. You grow. You adjust. But distraction keeps you numb. It keeps you lazy. It keeps you from ever even stepping in the arena. It convinces you to be a spectator in your own life. You're watching everybody else win. You're watching everybody else build. You're watching everybody else rise. And you think you're just not ready. No, you're not distracted. That's what's holding you back. We live in a world full of noise, notifications, opinions, content, news, gossip, comparison. Every single second, something is trying to grab your attention. Everybody's talking. Everybody's pulling at you. Everybody wants you to look, to listen, to engage. But the truth is, not everything deserves your attention. Not everything deserves your energy. You've got to learn how to protect your mind like it's your most valuable asset, because it is. When you give your focus away, you're giving your life away. Listen to me. The enemy doesn't always come with fire and thunder. Sometimes he comes with distraction. He comes disguised as comfort, as entertainment, as just one more episode, or just a quick check on social media. And while you're numbing your ambition, your dream is starving. Every goal you set is begging for attention, but you keep feeding a distraction. I know what it's like. I know what it feels like to say, I want to be great, but you keep getting pulled in 1,000 directions. You got goals written on the wall, dreams in your journal, prayers on your lips, but your time says something else. Your habits say something else. Your routine says something else. If your life was a movie, the credits wouldn't say a hard work or focus or a grit. It would say distractions, a noise, a wasted time. You gotta wake up. You've gotta understand that the battlefield isn't always physical. It's mental. And every day, the war is for your attention. There are two wolves inside of you. One is discipline. The other is distraction. And whichever one you feed will grow. You want to win? Start feeding the wolf of discipline. Start feeding the wolf of focus. Start feeding the wolf of purpose. Because every time you check out, every time you escape, every time you let distraction in, you're making it harder for yourself to rise. Distraction isn't just about phones and media. It's about people too. Some of you are distracted by relationships that ain't going nowhere. You're spending emotional energy on people who don't push you forward. You're letting your circle distract you from your calling. You need people who feed your fire, not put it out. You need people who sharpen you, not drain you. Every moment you give to a conversation that doesn't build you, every hour you waste trying to explain your purpose to someone who doesn't get it, you're robbing your future. Let me be clear. Focus is the new flex. Not money, not cars, not cloud, focus. Because focus builds what distractions destroy. Focus creates freedom. Focus creates results. And if you can learn to lock in, to eliminate the noise, to shut the door on what doesn't matter, you will do in 1 year what others can't do in 10. You want to rise? You want to stand out? You want to become something most people only dream about? Then you got to stop being average with your attention. Stop giving your time to people, places, and problems that don't deserve it. Stop letting small things steal your peace. Because when you focus, when you really focus, you become dangerous. You become unstoppable. You become the kind of person who doesn't wait for opportunity. You create them. There's a voice inside of you calling you to more, but you can't hear it when you're busy listening to the world. You can't answer your calling when you're distracted by everything that isn't aligned with your purpose. And let me tell you this, the enemy knows he can't destroy you. But if he can distract you, he doesn't have to. Because a distracted person will destroy their own dream. So today, I dare you to unplug. I dare you to cut off what's stealing your energy. I dare you to delete what's destroying your discipline. I dare you to cancel the noise and choose clarity. Not tomorrow, not next week, right now. Make a decision that you're not going to be owned by distractions anymore. You're not going to be controlled by comparison. You're not going to let the world dictate your attention. You're going to take your power back. You're going to take your mind back. This ain't about being perfect. It's about being intentional. You won't win every battle with distraction. But if you wake up every day and fight, if you wake up every day and decide to guard your focus, you're going to build something that lasts, something real, something meaningful. You don't need more time. You need more focus. You don't need more chances. You need fewer distractions. You don't need the world's approval. You need your own commitment. So stop fearing failure. Start fearing wasted potential. Start fearing the idea of being the same person next year that you are today. That's the real failure, when you let distraction rob you of transformation. Greatness is not out there somewhere. It's already in you. It just needs your focus to wake it up. It needs your attention to bring it to life. So block out the noise. Tune into your goals. Turn up the volume on your grind. Silence everything that isn't speaking life into your future. Because the truth is, you're not losing because you're failing. You're losing because you're distracted. Lock in, block out the noise, and get to work. People who don't know your vision will always misjudge your grind. That's a fact. And if you're out here trying to make everybody understand your hustle, your late nights, your early mornings, your sacrifices, you're wasting valuable energy, because some people will never get it. Not because your dream isn't valid, not because your vision isn't powerful, but because they were never meant to see it in the first place. Your calling wasn't a conference call. You weren't supposed to explain it to everybody. It was given to you and only you. And if you keep needing validation for your vision, you'll end up letting go of the very thing that was meant to set you apart. You see, your grind looks crazy to people who are comfortable. Your discipline feels extreme to those who live distracted. Your ambition makes people uncomfortable because it reminds them of the work they're not doing. So what do? They criticize, they laugh, they gossip, they question. Why are you working so hard? Why are you always grinding? Or why you never have time to hang out? But don't let that shake you. Don't let their misunderstanding become your frustration. Because if they could see what you see, if they felt what you feel, they wouldn't be asking questions. They'd be clapping for you, but they don't see it. And that's okay, they're not supposed to. You have to get to a point in your journey where you stop explaining your grind to small minds. Stop lowering your energy just to be understood. Stop dimming your light just to make others feel comfortable. Let them misjudge you. Let them doubt you. Let them label you. Because labels don't define purpose. People called Noah crazy too until it started raining. People thought Steve Jobs was obsessed. People called Kobe Bryant arrogant. People said Elon Musk was out of touch. But visionaries don't listen to noise. They're too busy building. They're too focused on becoming. And you got to understand there will be seasons where it feels like no one gets it. You'll be in your room grinding, planning, sacrificing, and nobody will clap for you. You'll be putting in work behind the scenes, staying disciplined, turning down distractions, and people will question your motives. But don't expect applause in the planning season. The praise comes after the harvest. But here's the deal. Most people quit before the harvest because they're too caught up in trying to explain the planting. Your grind is sacred. Your discipline is sacred. Your consistency, your hustle, your vision, that's your gift. That's your legacy in the making. And when you stop grinding just to respond to people who don't understand, you slow your own momentum. You can't be building and explaining at the same time. You either construct or you convince, but you can't do both. And real builders don't stop to convince doubters. They let the results speak. There's a reason people misunderstand you. You're doing something different. You're walking a path that's not crowded. It's lonely at first, but that's how you know you're going in the right direction. The crowd follows trends. Visionaries create them. So when people don't get your discipline, your habits, your goals, it means you're probably on the right track. Because greatness is never understood by average. And average will always criticize what is too afraid to chase. So what if they talk? So what if they laugh? So what if they don't see your dream the way you do? You weren't born to be understood. You were born to be legendary. And legends aren't always liked. They're not always clapped for, but they're always remembered. You gotta be so committed to your vision that people's opinions become irrelevant. Oprah just said, you gotta be so focused that distractions don't even have a voice in your life anymore. Every time someone questions your grind, remember why you started, remember the late nights, remember the pain, remember the dream that kept you awake, remember the vision that set your soul on a fire, and then go harder. Let their doubts fuel your discipline. Let their criticism sharpen your commitment. Let their misunderstanding become the background music to your masterpiece. And don't expect support from everyone. Sometimes your biggest cheerleaders won't be family. Sometimes your closest friends won't see what you see. And that's okay. That's not their fault. They weren't built for your mountain. They weren't designed for your destiny. They don't have your fire. But don't hold that against them. Just keep climbing. You've got to be strong enough to walk alone if necessary. Because not everybody can go where you're going. And if you keep trying to bring everybody with you, you'll start dragging dead weight. Your purpose is too important for that. Your mission is too urgent. You don't need everyone to understand. You just need to stay locked in. So stop looking around for approval. Stop posting your progress just to be seen. Real success doesn't come from being noticed. It comes from being noticed. It comes from being consistent. It comes from doing the work when nobody's watching. It comes from building when nobody's clapping. It comes from grinding when nobody gets it. Eventually, the same people who question you will quote you. The same people who misjudged your grind will admire your glory, but only if you stay focused. Only if you keep showing up. Only if you stay true to your vision, even when it's hard, even when it's lonely, even when you feel misunderstood. The truth is, people can only see from where they stand. If they're stuck in average, they'll never understand your pursuit of excellence. If they're trapped in comfort, they'll never respect your pain. If they've never chased a dream, they won't know what it costs. But don't let their perspective shrink your purpose. Don't let their confusion make you question your clarity. You weren't meant to fit in. You were built to stand out. And standing out means some people won't get it. They'll talk. They'll get it. They'll assume. Let them. You just keep building. Keep riding it. Keep grinding. Because at the end of the day, the ones who stay focused are the ones who finish. So next time someone misjudges your grind, just smile. They don't have to get it. They don't have to see it. They don't have to believe in it. You do. And that's enough. Because people who don't know your vision will always misjudge your grind. But that's their limitation, not yours. You can't hear your purpose through the volume of public opinion. That's why so many people walk around lost. Not because they don't have a purpose, not because they're not gifted, but because they've allowed too many outside voices to drown out the voice inside. You were born with greatness inside of you. You were born with a calling. But if you keep turning the volume up on what everybody else thinks, what everybody else expects, what everybody else says, you'll never hear what your soul is screaming for you to become. Purpose doesn't come from noise. It comes from stillness. It comes from silence. It comes from listening to that whisper deep down that's been trying to guide you, pull you, push you in the direction you were meant to walk. But the problem is you can't hear because you've given everyone else a microphone in your life. Your friends, your critics, your social media, your family, your fear, they all have a say, and now you're confused. You're torn between who you are and who they think you should be. Let me tell you something. Purpose is personal. It doesn't ask for permission. It doesn't wait for applause. It doesn't show up with fireworks. It comes in quietly. Purpose isn't loud, but it's powerful. And if you can just turn down the noise long enough, you'll feel it. But most people don't. Most people are so busy chasing trends, chasing clout, chasing acceptance that they forget to chase what they were actually created for. See, public opinion will always shift. One day, they love you. The next, they doubt you. One moment you're a hero, the next you're a failure. You can't anchor your life to something that's constantly changing. If you do, you'll be tossed around like a leaf in the wind. You start making decisions based on likes instead of legacy. You begin to shape your life around applause instead of alignment. And here's the scary part. You can be celebrated and still be empty. You can have everyone clapping for you and still feel lost inside. Because applause is not the same as alignment. Validation is not the same as fulfillment. Only purpose can fill that gap. Only purpose can make the grind worth it. Only purpose can give the pain a point. But you can't live in your purpose and live for people at the same time. You gotta choose. You gotta decide whose voice matters most in your life. Because every voice you listen to is shaping you. Every opinion you allow in is molding your direction. So ask yourself, are you being guided by your calling or manipulated by the crowd? You were never meant to blend in. You were never meant to just go with the flow. You were meant to lead, to create, to impact, to build. But that kind of life requires courage. The courage to be misunderstood. The courage to be judged. The courage to walk alone if necessary. Because the more you walk in purpose, the less you'll fit into the world's boxes. And that's a good thing. Most people are so afraid of rejection that they choose silence over significance. They rather be liked than be real. They rather be accepted than be impactful. But you can't change the world and please everyone at the same time. Jesus did. Martin Luther King did. Mandela did. Any person who ever walked in purpose had to rise above public opinion. So if you want to hear your purpose, start protecting your ears. Start guarding your mind. Be careful who you listen to. Be careful what you feed your spirit. Because words are seeds. And if you keep letting negative, fearful, jealous, small-minded seeds take root in your heart, you'll never grow into the giant you were meant to be. Sometimes you got to get away. You got to unplug. You got to shut the world off so you can hear what really matters. That's why some of your greatest moments of clarity don't come in the crowd. They come in isolation. They come in the silence. They come when it's just you and God, just you and your soul. That's when purpose shows up. That's when the vision gets clear. That's when the fire starts to burn again. But the longer you chase opinions, the more you delay your assignment. The longer you try to make everybody happy, the more you postpone your destiny. Because your purpose will offend people. It will confuse people. It will scare people. Why? Because it reminds them of what they're not doing. It forces them to look at the parts of themselves they've ignored. And instead of being inspired, some will choose to criticize. But don't you dare shrink. Don't you dare apologize for the fire inside of you. Don't you dare dim your light because it makes someone else uncomfortable. Your purpose is bigger than their opinion. Your mission is louder than their doubt. You got something inside of you that the world needs, but they don't even know it yet. So don't let their silence stop your shout. Don't let their confusion become your hesitation. You're not responsible for their reaction. You're responsible for your obedience. You're responsible for answering the call. You're responsible for showing up every day and saying, I care who gets it. I'm still grinding. I don't care who claps. I'm still building. I don't care who leaves. I'm still moving forward. Because when you live like that, when you block out the noise, when you stay rooted in who you are, you become unstoppable. And here's the beautiful part. Once you truly tap into your purpose, you stop needing public opinion altogether. You no longer need their validation. You no longer crave their approval. You wake up every day driven by something deeper, something eternal. You're no longer tossed by trends or discouraged by doubt. You're anchored in purpose. And when you're anchored, the storm doesn't shake you. The hate doesn't break you. The noise doesn't move you. So today, make a decision. Turn down the volume on the world. Turn up the voice within. because you can't hear your purpose through the volume of public opinion. And the moment you realize that, you'll stop living for them and start living for something greater, for your calling, for your legacy, for the impact you were born to make. Every second you give to critics is a second stolen from your calling. That's time you will never get back. That's energy that should have gone into building, into growing, into executing, but instead you gave away. And for what? For people who don't know your heart, your grind, your pain, or your purpose. People who aren't walking in your shoes, but feel qualified to speak on your path. Listen to me. Your calling is too precious, too powerful, too urgent for you to waste even a single moment arguing people who have nothing to do with your destiny. Let them talk. Let them type. Let them tie. Let them criticize building. Don't you dare slow down your momentum to address something that has no eternal weight. Because while you're pausing to defend yourself, your future is waiting for you to move. Your goals are waiting for your focus. Your assignment is calling for your full attention. And you got to decide, are you going to keep reacting to every negative comment? Or are you going to get serious about what you were created to do? See, critics love to distract. They love to pull you into their world where doubt reigns and fear wins. But you weren't built to live in that space. You were built for impact. You were built for purpose. You were built to rise. And the more you feed the critics, the more you starve your calling. The more time you spend explaining yourself to people who've already made up their minds, the more distance you create between who you are and who you're becoming. There's a reason eagles don't fly with pigeons. Eagles soar at heights that pigeons can't reach. Can't reach. And if you're constantly coming down just to respond to pigeons, you'll never reach the altitude you were meant for. You'll never touch the level you were born to rise to. Some of y'all are grounded right now, not because you're not gifted, but because you're too busy explaining your wings to people who can't fly. And I get it. It hurts to be misunderstood. It's frustrating to be judged unfairly. But that's part of the journey. Anybody who's ever done anything great has dealt with criticism. They've been mocked, they've been doubted, they've been ridiculed. But they kept going because they knew the work would speak louder than the critics ever could. And that's the mentality you got to adopt. That's the mindset of a champion. You've got to be so focused, so consumed by purpose, that the noise fades into the background. You've got to be so in love with the process that you stop needing to prove yourself, because the need to respond comes from insecurity. But when you're grounded in who you are, when you're anchored in your calling, you don't need to clap back. You just continue to climb. Think about how much time is wasted on trying to change the minds of people who aren't investing in your growth. They don't pray for you. They don't show up for you. They don't show up for you. They don't build with you, but they feel entitled to speak on your process. That's not your problem. That's theirs. And the moment you realize that, the moment you truly internalize that, is the moment you take your power back. Every second matters. Every moment you're alive is a moment you could be building something eternal. But if your energy is tied up in defending your grind, you'll never fully walk in your gift. Because here's the truth. Greatness requires obsession, and obsession doesn't leave room for distraction. Obsession doesn't stop to explain. Obsession doesn't take breaks to reply to haters. It's too locked in. It's too focused. It's too committed to the bigger picture. That's where you need to be, locked in. Not looking around, not checking for comments, not searching for approval, just executing, just building, just honoring the gift inside you, because your calling is sacred, it's divine. It's the reason you were born. And every second spent away from that calling is a second that dilutes your destiny. The world doesn't need another person trying to win arguments. The world needs people walking boldly in their purpose. The world needs creators. The world needs leaders. The world needs visionaries who refuse to be distracted. That's who you are. You're not here to be liked. You're here to be legendary. You're not here to be legendary. You're not here to impress. You're here to impact. And impact doesn't come from the comfort of approval. It comes from the courage of obedience. So stop explaining. Stop defending. Stop apologizing for your grind. Let the critics do what they do. Criticize. That's their role. But your role is to build. Your role is to lead. Your role is to rise. And when you stay in your role, everything else starts to align. Doors open. People show up. Miracles happen. But only when you're focused. Only when you're faithful. Some of you are delaying your breakthrough because you're distracted by breakdowns that aren't even yours to fix. You're wasting time trying to change minds when you should be changing lives. Let it go, let them talk. Let them doubt, because while they're gossiping, you're growing. While they're criticizing, you're climbing. While they're speculating, you're executing. Purpose doesn't need applause. It just needs action. And if you keep moving, if you stay faithful to the vision, there will come a day when the same people who criticize you will quote you. The same ones who mock your grind will admire your glow. But that only happens when you stay focused. So here's the challenge. For the next season of your life, give zero energy to critics. Zero. Not your time, not your words, not your emotions, not even a glance. Channel every ounce of that energy into becoming the best version of you. Wake up earlier, stay later, push harder, dream bigger, build deeper, and watch what happens. Because the moment you stop giving your power away to people who don't matter is the moment your purpose accelerates. The moment your destiny expands. The moment your impact multiplies. That's the key. That's the shift. Every second you give to critics is a second stolen from your calling. And your calling's too important. Your future is too valuable. Your legacy is too big to waste time proving yourself to small minds. So make the decision today. No more distractions. No more debates. No more defending what was never meant to be understood by them in the first place. You've got a calling to fulfill. Now go do it. Success demands you mute the world and listen to your mission. That's the truth most people don't want to face. Everybody says they want success. Everybody says they want to rise to win, to build something meaningful, but very few are willing to do what it really takes. Because real success, it doesn't come in the crowd. It doesn't come with noise. It comes in the quiet places. In the places where the only voice that matters is the one calling you to purpose. And you can't hear that voice if you're tuned into the world more than you're tuned into your assignment. See, the world is loud on purpose. It wants your attention. It wants your time. It wants your energy. Social media trends, gossip, distractions, they're all part of the noise that keeps you from hearing the still, powerful voice that's trying to lead you to greatness. And you got to make a choice, because you can't walk fully in your mission and stay plugged into the world at the same time. One of them has to go mute. If you're serious about success, real, meaningful, purpose-driven success, then you've got to start living differently. You've got to stop waking up and checking your phone before checking in with your goals. You've got to stop letting other people's opinions guide your day. You've got to stop comparing your pace to someone else's progress. Because all of that noise, it drowns your direction. It clouds your clarity. It steals your silence. And silence is where mission speaks. You see, success isn't just about working harder. It's about listening better, listening to what you were created for, listening to the deeper calling inside you that says, there's more in you. Keep going. But you can't hear that when you're surrounded by distractions. You got to unplug. You got to get still. You got to learn how to mute the voices that don't align with your vision. It's not about being antisocial. It's not about ignoring the world forever. It's about prioritizing the voice that matters most, the voice of mission, the voice of destiny, the voice of God. That voice doesn't shout, it whispers. And the only way to hear a whisper is to silence everything else. Some of you can't figure out why you're not advancing. You got the talent. You've got the ambition. You got the work ethic, but you don't have the focus. You got too many tabs open in your mind, too many opinions in your heart, too many distractions in your habits, and all of that's creating static in your spirit. You can't download the full vision because the signal's jammed. It's time to clear the frequency. It's time to mute the world. Success will not scream for your attention. It requires you to listen intentionally. It requires you to lean in when others are zoning out. It requires you to shut the door on comfort and open the door to commitment. It's in that space. When you're locked in, when you're disciplined, when you're alone with your mission, everything starts to make sense. That's when the strategy comes. That's when the ideas flow. That's when the breakthroughs show up. But too many people are chasing success and staying loud at the same time. They're chasing clarity, but filling their life with clutter. They want peace, but they feed chaos. They want to rise, but they keep sitting in circles that pull them down. You can't mute the world halfway. You got to be willing to separate. Separate from the noise, from the negativity, from the things that look good but don't grow you. from the things that entertain but don't elevate. It's going to be uncomfortable at first because silence can be scary. When it's just you and your thoughts, you start confronting the truth. You start facing your fears. You start realizing how much time you've given to things that didn't deserve you. But that discomfort, that's the beginning of transformation. That's the beginning of freedom. That's when the mission gets loud. And make no mistake, the world will try to pull you back. Every time you step away from the noise will try to chase you. People will say you're distant. They'll say you've changed. They'll say you're cold, but don't let that distract you because you're not disconnecting from people. You're connecting to purpose. You're not running away. You were born into what you were born to do. You've got to protect your peace like it's your greatest weapon because it is. In peace, you create. In peace, you plan. In peace, you execute. That's what muting the world gives you. The power to hear your mission clearly. The power to follow your internal compass without being swayed by the crowd. And your mission matters too much to let the world drown it out. You weren't created to just exist. You weren't put here to just survive. You got a calling, a purpose, a set of gifts that were designed to impact lives. But those gifts only come to life when you're in alignment. And alignment comes from attention. Where your attention goes, your purpose grows. Where your focus lives, your future be. So start being intentional with your attention. Don't give your ears to anything that poisons your perspective. Don't give your time to people who drain your dreams. Don't give your energy to things that entertain but don't empower. Feed your mission daily. Read what builds you. Listen to what inspires you. Watch what pushes you. Surround yourself with purpose-driven conversations. Because success isn't just about grinding harder. It's about thinking clearer. You can hustle all day, but if your mind is clouded, your progress will be stunted. If your spirit is distracted, your gift will stay dormant. The mind is powerful, but only when it's protected. Only when it's quiet enough to hear direction. That's what the greats understand. That's what separates the ordinary from the elite. The greats don't just train their bodies. They train their minds. They protect their focus. They mute the world. They know the mission is too big to be played with. They know the calling is too sacred to be compromised. You've got that same greatness inside you, that same capacity, that same ability to rise. But you got to make the decision. Are you going to let the noise keep numbing your fire? Or are you going to rise above it? Are you going to keep living loud with no direction? Or are you going to get quiet and hear your next move? The choice is yours. But remember this, every second you're distracted by the world is a second you're disconnected from your mission. And success demands you mute the world and listen to your mission. Because when you do, the vision gets clearer, the steps get bolder, the purpose gets louder, and the results get undeniable. You've got to understand something. People will always talk. They'll always have opinions about what you should do, how you should live, and what you can or can't achieve. The moment you decide to chase something bigger than yourself, that's the exact moment when the noise gets louder. It's not when you're standing still that they talk. It's when you start to move. It's when you begin to rise that the voices around you start trying to pull you back down. They'll doubt you, they'll question you, and they'll whisper things that make you question yourself. But you've got to silence the doubters before they silence you. Because if you don't, their words will become your thoughts, and their fears will become your limits. You see, people project their insecurities onto you. When they say you can't, what they really mean is I couldn't. When they tell you it's impossible, it's not because it can't be done. It's because they never had the courage to try. And if you're not careful, their limitations will become the ceiling over your life. You can't afford to let that happen. You've got to build a mindset so strong that no voice, no opinion, no judgment can penetrate it. You've got to wake up every single day with a decision that your purpose is louder than their noise. The truth is, success isn't about talent alone. It's about mental toughness. It's about how many times you can hear a no and still push forward. It's about how many times people tell you you're wasting your time and you keep grinding anyway. The noise doesn't stop just because you start winning. It gets louder. When you begin to rise, jealousy joins the conversation. When you start succeeding, the whispers turn into criticism. That's why you've got to silence the doubters early before their noise becomes normal to you. Some of you are carrying the weight of other people's opinion. You've got dreams, but you paused your progress because someone you care about said you couldn't make it. You've allowed their words to build a prison around your potential. And I'm telling you, it's time to break free. Stop giving people permission to define you. Stop letting their disbelief shape your decisions. You don't owe them an explanation for your grind, for your passion, or for your pursuit. The only person who needs to believe in your dream is you. When you silence the doubter, it doesn't mean you hate them. It means you've learned to prioritize peace over approval. It means you've learned to tune out negativity so you can tune into your purpose. Because here's the truth. When your life starts changing, when your habits start evolving, some people will feel threatened. Your growth exposes their comfort. Your ambition reminds them of the dreams they abandoned. And instead of clapping for you, they'll criticize you. But you can't take it personal. You just smile, keep your head down, and keep building. Because the same people who said you couldn't will one day ask you how you did it. The doubters are part of the process. They come to test your focus, to measure your faith. Every time someone says you can't, that's a chance to prove you can. Every insult, every rejection, every closed door, that's fuel. Don't waste energy arguing with people who don't see your vision. Use that energy to make progress. Let your success become the conversation. Because when your results speak, you don't have. When you show up with consistency, when you work while they sleep, when you grind while they gossip, eventually the noise fades, and all that's left is your name written in success. I remember there was a time when people laughed at dreamer. They called them unrealistic. They say, be practical. But the same dreamers, the ones who were ridiculed, the ones who were told they were chasing fantasies, they're the ones who changed the world. They didn't let the world's noise drown out their conviction. They didn't ask for permission to be great. They simply decided to silence the doubters by doing the impossible. So don't let small minds convince you your dream is too big. Don't let their disbelief become your truth. The most powerful silence you can create is not by arguing, not by defending yourself, but by showing results. Every time they say you can't, smile and say, watch me. Because silence doesn't mean weakness. Silence means focus. It means you stopped wasting words and started showing work. Let your discipline speak. Let your grind echo. Because once you start moving in purpose, your results will silence every critic in the room. There's a difference between noise and feedback. Noise distracts, feedback refines. You've got to know the difference. Don't shut your ears to wisdom, but learn to recognize when it's not wisdom. It's insecurity in disguise. Some people don't want you to rise because your rise reminds them of what they could have been. So they'll tell you to slow down, to take it to stop dreaming so big. But you can't listen to that. You got to stay locked in on the frequency of progress. You've got to be so focused that even when people talk, it sounds like background static. You hear it, but it doesn't move you. And understand this, your silence is not submission, it's strategy. The less you explain, the more powerful you become. You don't need to post every move, share every idea, or announce every plan. The world doesn't need to know what you're doing. They'll see it when it's done. The doubters feed on your energy, on your need to prove them wrong. But you don't prove them wrong with words. You prove them wrong with work. Every time you show up, every time you get better, every time you refuse to quit, you silence another voice that said you couldn't. It's easy to let the noise get to you when you're tired, when you're waiting for results, when you're putting in the work and nothing seems to be happening. But that's when you got to turn the volume down even more. You got to remind yourself why you started. You've got to go back to the reason you began this journey in the first place. Because purpose is the best noise canceling system in the world. When you're driven by something bigger than approval, no amount of noise can stop you. You've got to be willing to stand alone sometimes. Because the path to greatness is quiet. There's no crowd cheering for you at 4 a.m. when you're grinding. There's no applause when you're sacrificing comfort to build character. But that's okay, because those quiet moments are where champions are made. Those moments where you choose focus over fame, faith over fear, purpose over popularity, that's when you grow. That's when you learn to silence the doubters, not just outside of you, but inside of you. Yes, the most dangerous noise isn't always external. Sometimes it's internal. It's that voice that says, you're not good enough. You're too late. You'll never make it. You've got to silence that voice too. You've got to remind yourself that you got what it takes, that you're built for this. Every time doubt whispers, answer back with action. Every time fear rises, face it with faith. The enemy isn't the noise, it's your reaction to it. So train your mind to stay focused no matter what. The higher you climb, the louder the noise becomes. But if you stay focused, if you keep working, if you keep believing, eventually the noise becomes applause. The same people who said you wouldn't will start saying you were destined to. But by then, it won't even matter because you didn't do it for them. You did it for you. So from this moment forward, stop giving energy to noise. Stop explaining your process to people who will never understand your purpose. Stop letting someone else's disbelief delay your destiny. Silence the doubters before they silence you. By doing the work, by showing up when it's hard, by refusing to quit when it's quiet. Let your efforts speak so loud that their opinions are drowned out by the sound of your success. And remember this, when they said you couldn't, they were talking about themselves. But you are different. You got fire in your spirit and purpose in your veins. You've been chosen for something greater. So rise above the noise, block it out, and stay locked in. Because one day soon, they'll realize the same person they doubted became the one they admired. You don't silence the doubters with words. You silence them with results. Something with results. Keep grinding until their noise becomes your motivation and your victory becomes their silence. Keep pushing until your name speaks louder than any voice that would try to stop you. Because when you believe in yourself and stay focused, every doubt will fade, every critic will quiet, and the only sound left will be the echo of your success. Focus is not just a skill, it's a lifestyle. It's what separates those who dream from those who do. In a world filled with distractions, your ability to lock in, to stay centered on your purpose is your greatest superpower. Every second, the world is throwing noise at you. Social media, gossip, negativity, temptation, laziness, comfort. All of it is designed to steal your attention. And when it steals your attention, it steals your potential. You can't expect to live an extraordinary life if you keep letting ordinary distractions pull you off course. You can't become great when your attention is divided between 100 meaningless things. Focus is rare because it requires sacrifice, but it's that sacrifice that creates separation. When you choose focus, you choose greatness. The problem with most people isn't that they lack talent, it's that they lack direction. They're busy but not effective. They're active but not advancing. They wake up every day chasing everything, which means they catch nothing. Focus is about deciding what's truly worth your energy and cutting out everything that's not. It's about saying, this is my lane, and refusing to drift. Because when you chase too many things, you end up losing the one thing that matters most. Progress. You got to learn to say no. No to distractions, no to wasted time, no to the people and habits that don't align with your goals. Every no to the wrong thing is a yes to your purpose. Distractions come dressed as opportunities. They look good, they sound good, but not everything good is meant for you. Focus means you have to be selective. You gotta learn to discern between what's urgent and what's important. The urgent things scream for your attention, but the important things quietly shape your future. Every time you stop to entertain drama, comparison, or doubt, you lose momentum. And momentum is everything. It's what keeps you moving when motivation fades. That's why focus isn't about intensity for a moment. It's about consistency over time. If you ever want to build something meaningful, something lasting, you have to become ruthless about your focus. You can't give 100% to your dream when your mind is still tied up in distractions. You can't build an empire while scrolling through everyone else's highlight reel. You can't become a champion when you're giving your energy to things that don't make you better. Focus is a decision you make every single day. It's waking up and saying, no matter what comes my way today, I'm staying locked in. When you study the greats, when you look at the people who made history, they all had one thing in common: extreme focus. They weren't smarter than everyone else. They were just more disciplined. They knew how to tune out the noise. They understood that while everyone else was talking, they needed to be working. They weren't chasing attention. They were chasing excellence. And that's what made them legends. They understood something powerful. That focus compound. Every day you stay focused, you build momentum. Every day you say no to distractions, your discipline grows stronger. And here's the truth: Your focus determines your future. Where your attention goes, your energy flows. If your focus is on fear, you'll see obstacles. If your focus is on faith, you'll see opportunities. If your focus is on what's missing, you'll live in frustration. But if your focus is on growth, you'll start finding reasons to rise. The mind is like a camera. Whatever you focus on develops. So if you want to change your life, you don't start by changing your circumstances. You start by changing your focus. Distractions don't just come from outside. They come from within. Sometimes the biggest distraction is your own self-doubt. It's the fear of failure whispering that maybe you should slow down. Maybe you're not good enough. Maybe this isn't your time. But the only way to silence that noise is with focus. You got to keep your eyes on where you're going, not on what's trying to pull you back. Because if you stare at the storm, you'll forget about your destination. But if you keep your eyes on the vision, you'll walk right through it. Focus requires clarity. You've got to know what you want before you can protect it. Too many people lose focus. They never define their goal in the first place. They say they want success, but they don't know what success looks like for them. They say they want change, but they never identify what needs to change. You can't hit a target. You can't see. You can't hit a target. You can't. So step one is clarity. Get crystal clear on your purpose. Write it down. Visualize it. Remind yourself of it daily. When you know what your work, distractions automatically lose power. But focus also requires boundaries. You gotta guard your time like it's gold. Every minute wasted is a minute stolen from your dream. Don't let anyone or anything waste your energy. If it doesn't push you forward, it's pulling you back. That includes toxic people, negative conversations, unproductive habits, and empty entertainment. It doesn't mean you can't rest or have fun. It means you have to be intentional about it. Everything you do should align with your purpose. Every moment should serve your mission. That's how focused people live. You've also got to train your focus like a muscle. It doesn't come naturally. We live in a world that's designed to destroy your attention span. Every beat, every scroll, every notification is a test. But the more you practice focus, the stronger it gets. Start small, give your full attention to one task at a time. Turn off the noise, shut down the distractions, and pour your energy into the present moment. When you start mastering the little moments, you'll start dominating the big ones. You can't stay focused on something you don't care about. That's why you've got to find your why. Your why is the anchor that keeps you grounded when distractions try to pull you away. When your why is strong enough, your focus becomes unshakable. When you remember who you're doing it for, your family, your future, your freedom, then the noise starts to fade. Suddenly, that temptation to give up doesn't feel as strong because your purpose is stronger. Sometimes focus means being misunderstood. When you're locked in, people will say you've changed. They'll say you've become distant, too serious, too obsessed. Let them talk. They're not supposed to understand your grind because your vision wasn't given to them. Don't trade your destiny for their approval. Stay focused. Because one day, the same people who question your silence will applaud your success. Focus isn't about being selfish. It's about being strategic. You can't pour into others when your energy is scattered. You can't lead when your attention is divided. You gotta fill your own tank first. There will be days when focus feels impossible, when life hits hard, when everything feels urgent, when your goals seem too far away. Those are the days that test your commitment. Anyone can stay focused when it's easy. True focus shows up when it's hard. It's when distractions are loudest that your discipline must be strongest. That's when you remind yourself why you started. That's when you say, I didn't come this far to lose focus now. Because every step, every repetition, every small act of focus builds the future you're chasing. And let's be real, focus will cost you. It will cost you friends, comfort, and short-term fun. But it will give you something better, peace, purpose, and long-term freedom. Because focus isn't about what you lose. It's about what you gain. You gain mastery. You gain control. You gain progress. You gain results. You stop wasting time on things that don't matter. And you start building a life that does. The enemy of focus is comfort. The moment you get comfortable, your hunger fades. That's why you got to keep pushing yourself. Keep raising the bar. Stay uncomfortable. Because growth doesn't live in comfort zones. When you stay focused long enough, you'll outgrow the noise that used to distract you. You'll reach a point where What once tempted you doesn't even interest you anymore. That's when you know you've leveled up. So if you want to change your life, don't start by trying to do everything. Start by focusing on one thing. Master one skill. Build one habit. Win one day, then do it again tomorrow. Focus turns small actions into massive results. It transforms ordinary effort into extraordinary success. The people who make it to the top aren't the ones who do the most. They're the ones who do what matters most consistently. You are capable of incredible things, but only if you stop scattering your power. Your energy is like light. Diffuse it and it's weak. Focus it and it can cut through steel. That's what focus does. It turns potential into performance, turns dreams into results. So decide today that you're done being distracted. Decide that your purpose deserves your full attention. Block out the noise, tune out the world, and lock in on your mission. Because once you master focus, you can master anything. Your vision doesn't need validation. Let that sink in. You don't need someone else to believe in what you're building for it to be real. You don't need approval from friends, family, or society to chase your dream. Because your vision was given to you, not them. They weren't in the room when God planted that idea in your heart. They didn't feel the fire that lit up inside you when that dream came alive. So why are you waiting for their permission to start? Too many people are walking around with dreams buried inside them because they keep waiting for someone to say, I believe in you, but that moment may never come. Sometimes you gotta believe in yourself even when nobody else does. Sometimes you gotta clap for yourself when the world stays silent. When you have a vision, it's supposed to feel lonely. It's supposed to feel misunderstood because vision is not visible to everyone. You're seeing something that hasn't manifested yet. And most people only believe in what they can see. That's why dreamers are often called crazy until the dream becomes real. Think about it. Every innovator, every world changer, every success story started has someone who saw what no one else could see. The Wright brothers saw humans flying when people couldn't even imagine it. Steve Jobs saw a world where technology fits in your hand when others laughed at the thought. And people told them they were unrealistic, delusional even. But visionaries aren't limited by sight. They're fueled by belief. Your vision doesn't need to make sense to anyone else because it wasn't designed for anyone else to understand. It's your calling, your path, your purpose. You don't need them to approve it. You just need to pursue it. Because if you spend your life trying to give validation for people who can't even see your level, you'll shrink your dreams to fit their comfort. You'll start doubting yourself, not because your dream is impossible, but because you've been surrounded by people who stopped dreaming long ago. You got to protect your vision like your life depends on it, because it does. When people don't believe in you, it's not your job to convince them. Let your work do the talking. Let your progress speak louder than their doubt. Validation is temporary, but results are undeniable. You can spend years explaining your dream to people who will never understand, or you can spend that same energy building it. And when it's done, when they see what you built, their opinions won't even matter anymore. They'll say, I always knew you could do it. But you'll know the truth. You believed when they did, you worked when they watched, and you kept going when they gave up on you. Sometimes the reason people can't see your vision is because they're blinded by their own fear. They see through the lens of limitation. They fell before, so they assume you will too. But your path is not their path. You got to stop borrowing their perspective. You can't let someone with no vision correct your sight. Stop explaining what you see to people who stop looking. If they can't see it, that's not your problem. That's their limitation. When you walk by vision, you move differently. You don't react to what's in front of you. You respond to what's within you. You stop being controlled by what you can see and start being guided by what you know deep down. Vision allows you to walk through storms without fear because you're not focused on the rain. You're focused on the destination. Vision allows you to keep moving when the path is dark because you've already seen the light in your mind. That's why you gotta protect it. You've gotta nurture it. You've gotta feed it with faith and discipline until it becomes real. But understand this, when you choose to live by vision, you'll lose people. Not everyone can walk with you where you're going. Some people were only meant to see your start, not your success. And that's okay. Don't take it personally when people fall away. Don't get discouraged when they don't understand. The higher your vision, the smaller your circle becomes. You don't need a crowd. You need clarity. You don't need applause. You need alignment. Surround yourself with people who see your potential, not just your past. You can't expect people who live in comfort to understand your own. You can't expect people who gave up on their dreams to cheer for yours. And you definitely can't expect the world to validate something it didn't give you. So stop chasing validation and start chasing purpose. The moment you stop seeking approval, you become unstoppable. You start walking differently. You stop needing people to tell you it's possible because you already know it is. You stop worrying about how long it's taking because you understand that vision requires patience. Vision isn't about speed, it's about direction. You don't have to move fast, you just have to move forward. Every step you take toward your goal, no matter how small, is proof that you're walking in faith. Faith doesn't need to see the finish line, it just needs to know it's there. Your vision gives you that confidence, the ability to keep going even when nothing seems to be working. Because you're not moved by circumstances, you're moved by conviction. When you live by vision, you start to develop tunnel vision. And that's not a bad thing. It means you're locked in on your destination. You stop looking left and right at what everyone else is doing. You stop comparing your progress to theirs. You realize that your timing is yours and what's meant for you can't be taken from you. Comparison kills focus. It makes you question your own path because you're watching someone else's journey. But vision brings peace. It tells you I'm exactly where I need to be, doing exactly what I need to do. Your vision also demands accountability. It's not enough to just dream, you gotta do. A vision without work is just imagination. You can't sit around waiting for opportunities to find you. You gotta go out and create them. Every action you take is a brick in the foundation of your dream. Every setback is a lesson preparing you for the next step. That's how vision works. It doesn't always show you the whole picture, just the next step. And that's where faith comes in. You've got to trust that every move, even the painful ones, are leading you somewhere. Sometimes the very people who doubt you now will depend on the things you build later. They'll use the product of the vision they once laughed at. So don't let their lack of understanding stop you. The vision is bigger than their approval. It's bigger than their opinion. You were chosen for a reason. And part of that reason is to show others what's possible. The best way to teach people faith is to live it. Be the example. Show them what happens when you stop chasing validation and start chasing destiny. You might not see results right away. That's okay. Seeds take time to grow. The soil doesn't validate the seed. It simply gives it a place to grow in silence. The same applies to you. Just because no one sees your progress doesn't mean it's not happening. Keep watering your dream. Keep nurturing your vision. Because one day, when the fruit shows, the same people who ignored your effort will suddenly recognize your greatness. There will be nights when you question yourself, when you wonder if you're crazy for believing so hard in something no one else can see. But that's the price of vision. That's what makes you a trailblazer, the courage to walk a path that hasn't been paved yet. So keep believing even when it doesn't make sense. Keep trusting even when it's dark, because what you're building isn't just for you, it's for everyone who come after you. At the end of the day, validation fades, but vision lasts. Validation depends on others. Vision depends on you. You can lose followers, approval, applause, but if you keep your vision, you'll always find your way. So hold on to it. Protect it. Don't trade it for comfort or acceptance. Your vision is your compass, your guide, your light. You don't need the world to clap for you. You don't need them to see it yet. You just need to keep working until they can't deny it. Because one day, the same people who question you will quote you. The same people who ignored you will imitate you. And the same people who doubted you will wish they believed when you did. Your vision doesn't need validation. It needs commitment. It needs courage. It needs patience. And it needs you fully, faithfully, and fearlessly. Keep walking by vision, not by sight. Because when you do, one day everything you saw in your mind will stand before you in reality. Blocking out the noise starts with mastering the battlefield inside your mind. The loudest voices are not always around you. Sometimes they echo within you. Doubt, fear, insecurity, and the ghost of past failure speak louder than any critic on the outside. To block out the noise, you must first silence your own disbelief. You can't hear destiny's call if you're too busy listening to your inner fear whisper, you're not enough. Every great champion has fought this battle in silence. They didn't win because the world stopped doubting him. They won because they stopped doubting themselves. When you decide that your focus is worth more than your fear, that's when the noise starts to fade. Your internal dialogue determines your external direction. The words you repeat to yourself every morning shape the way you face the world. If you keep telling yourself you can't, then you've already lost before the fight even begins. But if you tell yourself you can, if you repeat it until your spirit believes it, then no amount of negativity can break you. You see, focus doesn't come from ignoring everything around you. It comes from believing deeply in what's inside you. The world doesn't get quieter. You just get stronger in your belief. When you lock in on your purpose, when you are clear about who you are and why you're doing this, every other sound becomes background noise. The problem is, too many people let the world define them. They let the opinions of others dictate what they do, what they wear, what they say, and how they live. That's the noise. It's the voice of conformity, trying to tell you that you need approval to be valuable. But the truth is, you don't need validation from anyone to be great. Greatness doesn't ask for permission, it demands commitment. When you walk in your purpose, you realize that people's opinions are just echoes bouncing off empty walls. You can't allow their noise to drown out your inner truth. When people talk about you, let them talk. When they doubt you, let them doubt. You have to learn to move in silence and let your results speak the loudest. When you start tuning out the noise, you begin to notice how much time you used to waste on things that don't matter. Every minute you spend explaining yourself to people who will never understand your vision is a minute stolen from your progress. You don't need everyone to get it. You just need to get it yourself. The world didn't believe in every dreamer who changed history. They laughed at them, doubted them, and told them it was impossible until it wasn't. What made those people different was their ability to stay centered even when the storm raged around them. They didn't let the noise distract them from the mission. They kept building while others were busy talking. That's how you win. You keep building while others keep doubting. Sometimes the noise comes from people you love. Family, friends, or colleagues may try to pull you back into comfort, not because they want to harm you, but because they don't see what you see. They can't feel what burns inside you. You have to understand that your vision was given to you, not to them. It's not their job to believe in it. It's yours. So stop expecting everyone to clap for you. Stop waiting for people to say a good job. When you truly believe in your purpose, you don't need applause. The fire inside you becomes your motivation. The day you stop needing approval is the day you start becoming unstoppable. Blocking out the noise also means mastering stillness. In a world that never stops talking, silence becomes your secret weapon. It's in the silence that you hear your calling more clearly. It's in the stillness that you realign your thoughts and refuel your energy. People fear silence because it forces them to confront themselves. But that's exactly where strength is born. Take time every day to disconnect from the chaos. No phone, no notifications, no distractions. And just sit with your thoughts. Ask yourself, am I moving toward my purpose or away from it? If you listen long enough, your soul will give you the answer. Silence is not emptiness, it's clarity. There's also a discipline that comes with blocking out the noise. You have to be willing to set boundaries. You can't say you want focus, but keep entertaining distractions. You can't say you want peace, but let chaos live rent-free in your mind. Discipline is not punishment, it's protection. It's how you guard your energy, your dreams, and your time. If something doesn't align with your vision, cut it off. If someone constantly brings negativity, distance yourself. Protect your space like your life depends on it, because it does. Every second you spend feeding negativity drains the energy you need to build your future. You have to train your focus like a muscle. Just like going to the gym, it takes consistent effort. You can't meditate for one day. Avoid distractions for an hour and expect lifelong clarity. Every day you have to make a choice to block out what doesn't serve you. Every day you have to choose purpose over pleasure, mission over noise. The world will always try to pull you back into comfort, but comfort kills dreams faster than failure ever could. Growth only happens when you are locked in on what truly matters. And here's the truth most people don't want to face. The noise will never completely disappear. The critics, the doubters, the negative voices, they will always exist. But your job is not to eliminate them. Your job is to outgrow them. When you reach a higher level of focus, the same noise that used to distract you will sound distant, irrelevant, and powerless. What once triggered you won't even move you anymore because your mindset has matured beyond it. That's how you know you're evolving. You stop reacting and start rising. So block out the noise by building an unshakable inner foundation. Know who you are so deeply that no rumor, no criticism, no failure can shake your confidence. Block out the noise by trusting your process even when others don't understand it. Block out the noise by staying grounded in gratitude because gratitude keeps your heart peaceful and your focus sharp. Every time life tries to distract you with chaos, return to your purpose. Your focus is your weapon and your silence is your strength. When the world gets loud, go within. Loud, go within. When they doubt you, go harder. When they try to distract you, go deeper. You're not here to fit in. You're here to stand out. You're not here to prove them wrong. You're here to prove yourself right. The noise only matters if you let it in. But if you build your vision brick by brick, protect your peace, and stay consistent, then one day the same people who doubted you would have no choice but to respect you. So tune out the noise, tune into your purpose, and keep moving forward. Because the world doesn't reward the loud, it rewards the focus. Sometimes the loudest noise you'll ever have to block out doesn't come from strangers or critics. It comes from the people closest to you. The people you love, respect, and trust can unintentionally become the biggest distractions on your journey to greatness. It's not because they want to hold you back. It's because they can't see what you see. They can't feel the fire that burns inside you, that constant pull telling you there's more to life than what's in front of you. And because they don't understand your vision, they'll try to protect you from what they think might hurt you. They'll tell you to play it safe, to stop dreaming so big, or to be realistic. But you can't build an extraordinary life with ordinary thinking. You can't rise to your full potential while carrying the expectations of everyone else on your shoulders. Blocking out the noise from people you love takes courage. It takes emotional strength to look at someone you care about and say, I love you, but I can't let your fears shape my destiny. Because that's what happens when you let their opinions guide your actions. You end up living their version of your life instead of your own. It's hard because love creates connection and connection creates influence. When people we care about speak, their words carry weight. But there comes a point where you must decide whether you want to please others or fulfill your purpose. You can't do both. Greatness always requires separation. Separation from comfort, from conformity, and sometimes from company. It doesn't mean you cut people off in anger. It means you create space to grow. When a seed starts to sprout, it pushes through the dirt. It separates itself from what once held it down. That's what growth feels like: lonely, uncertain, uncomfortable, but necessary. You have to learn to walk alone sometimes, not because people abandon you, but because your destiny demands solitude. The higher you go, the thinner the air gets. Not everyone can breathe where you're going, and that's okay. It's not your job to drag people along. It's your job to lead by example, to show them through your actions what's possible when you stay true to your vision. The challenge with blocking out this kind of noise is that it often disguises itself as love. When someone tells you, well, don't take that risk, they might genuinely be worried about your well-being. But you have to learn to separate love from limitation. Just because someone loves you doesn't mean they understand your calling. Their love may be sincere, but their perspective is limited by their own fears, failures, or experiences. They might be speaking from a place of caution because they've never seen success done the way you're doing it. And that's fine, but their limitation doesn't have to become yours. You can respect their concern while still trusting your path. You see, your vision was never meant to make sense to everyone. The universe, whatever you believe in, didn't give your dream to a committee. It was given to you. That means only you can feel it deeply enough to chase it through every obstacle, every setback, every moment of doubt. When others can't see it, don't waste energy trying to convince them. Let your results do the talking. People will eventually understand what they once questioned when they see you standing where they said you couldn't go. Until then, stay focused, stay faithful, and stay quiet. Sometimes when you start to elevate, the people around you begin to act differently. You'll notice them become distant or start criticizing your efforts. They'll say, you've changed. And you know what? They're right. You're supposed to change. You're supposed to grow, to evolve, to become someone new. But here's the truth. They're not upset because you've changed. They're upset because your growth reminds them of their stagnation. Your progress exposes their comfort zone. When you start moving with purpose, it forces people to reflect on what they're not doing. And instead of celebrating you, they'll try to pull you back down to their level because it's easier for them to keep you small than to face their own fears. You have to recognize that and not take it personally. You can't dim your light just because others can't handle your brightness. You can't silence your drive because it makes others uncomfortable. Your responsibility is to live your truth fully, not partially. Every time you lower your standards to make others feel better, you lose a piece of yourself. You start shrinking your vision to fit inside someone else's comfort zone. And that's how dreams die, not from failure, but from compromise. So don't apologize for wanting more. Don't apologize for being focused. Don't apologize for saying no to distractions, even when those distractions come disguised as relationships. Protect your purpose the way you protect your peace, fiercely and without guilt. Another thing you must understand is that people often project their limitations onto you. When they say, that's impossible, what they really mean is, I can't imagine doing it. When they say, you're dreaming too big, they mean I gave up on my dream. When they say you'll fail, they're really saying, I was too afraid to try. Don't internalize their doubts. Their words are a reflection of them, not you. Learn to translate criticism into motivation. Let every you can't become a reminder that you will. Every time someone underestimates you, let it fuel your discipline. The best way to silence doubters is not through arguments, it's through achievement. You must also remember that blocking out the noise doesn't mean shutting people out completely. It means learning how to listen without losing yourself. It means developing the wisdom to filter advice. Ask yourself, is this feedback coming from love or fear? From experience or insecurity? Because not all criticism is negative. Some of it can help you grow. But you have to discern the difference. A mentor challenges you to rise higher, but a naysayer tries to pull you lower. One corrects you to strengthen you. The other criticizes you to weaken your resolve. Learn to tell the difference, and you'll never mistake noise for wisdom again. The people who truly love you, who truly believe in you, will understand your need for focus. They might not always get it, but they'll respect it. They'll support you from a distance if that's what it takes. And eventually, when they see the fruits of your discipline, they'll be proud of what you built. But you can't let their temporary misunderstanding stop your permanent progress. Love them, appreciate them, but stay locked in. The moment you start doubting yourself just to make others comfortable, you stop being who you were meant to be. Blocking out the noise from loved ones is one of the hardest things you'll ever do. It's also one of the most liberating. Because when you learn to stand firm in your purpose, regardless of who approves, you reach a level of freedom that few ever experience. You stop chasing validation and start living in conviction. You stop asking for permission to be great and start walking like you already are. You begin to realize that the people meant for your journey will eventually align with your path, and those who don't were only meant for a season. Not every voice deserves a seat in your decision-making process. So keep your circle small but powerful. Surround yourself with people who speak life, not fear. People who challenge you, not chain you. People who celebrate your wins and help you through your losses. Those are the voices worth listening to. The rest, that's just noise. You can't afford to let emotional attachment become your biggest distraction. The dream you're chasing isn't just about success. It's about fulfilling the purpose you were created for. And if you truly believe in that purpose, then you'll have to learn to stand firm even when it feels like you're standing alone. The truth is, you're not being selfish by protecting your peace. You're being strategic. You're not being cold-hearted by setting boundaries. You're being wise. Because every minute you spend defending your dream from unnecessary doubt is a minute you could have spent building. You don't owe anyone an explanation for the calling that keeps you awake at night. You just owe it to yourself to answer it. So when the people closest to you don't understand your vision, don't get angry, don't give up, and don't slow down. Just smile, say thank you, and keep building. Because one day, when your vision becomes reality, When the noise fades into the background, they'll see what you saw all along. And in that moment, you'll realize that blocking out the noise was never about shutting people out. It was about tuning into your higher purpose. Silence is not the absence of sound, it's the presence of strength. In a world that constantly demands your attention, where every second brings a notification, a headline, a message, or an opinion, silence has become one of the most powerful tools you can possess. Blocking out the noise isn't just about ignoring the world. It's about learning to master stillness within yourself. When you learn to be still, you learn to listen, not to others, but to your own spirit. You begin to hear the voice inside you that knows what you're meant to do, who you're meant to be, and what you're capable of. That voice gets drowned out by chaos when you never slow down. You can't hear clarity in confusion, and you can't find direction in distraction. Stillness isn't weakness, it's wisdom. Most people run from silence because silence exposes truth. When you sit alone, when you put your phone down and cut off the noise, you're left face to face with yourself. No filter, no excuses, no distractions, just you and your thoughts. That's when the truth surfaces. Your fears, your doubts, your hidden dreams, your pain, and your purpose. It's uncomfortable because it forces you to confront the parts of yourself you've been avoiding. But if you want to grow, if you want to rise above the noise, you have to face what's inside. You can't conquer the world until you conquer your mind. And you can't conquer your mind until you make peace with silence. Stillness is where focus is born. It's where strength is restored. It's where you regain control. Think about it. Every athlete, every leader, every visionary who operates at the highest level knows how to shut out the world and enter a zone of complete concentration. They know how to find silence in chaos. It's not that their lives are quieter. It's that their minds are disciplined. They've trained themselves to tune out the noise and tune into purpose. That's the kind of power silence gives you. When you master the art of stillness, distractions lose their grip, emotions stop controlling you, and your focus becomes laser sharp. But the challenge is that our generation is addicted to noise. We've been conditioned to believe that silence equals boredom. We scroll endlessly, watch constantly, listen constantly, and fill every quiet moment with something external. We've forgotten how to be alone with ourselves. Yet all transformation begins in solitude. Every major breakthrough, every creative idea, every life-changing realization happens when the noise fades and the mind becomes still. Greatness doesn't come from constant motion. It comes from reflection, intention, and discipline. You can't pour out purpose if you never take time to refill your soul. If you want to block out the noise, you need to create space for silence daily. Wake up earlier, before the world starts shouting at you. Sit in stillness, breathe, and listen. Don't rush to check your phone or open your messages. Give yourself a moment to align with your purpose before the noise of the day tries to pull you off course. When you start your day in silence, you build strength that carries you through the chaos. You become proactive instead of reactive. Instead of being controlled by circumstances, you begin to control your inner tea and attention. Silence also teaches you patience. We live in a culture that wants everything fast. Fast results, fast money, fast success. But real growth takes time. And silence forces you to slow down long enough to appreciate the process. It's in those quiet moments that you learn to trust the journey, even when you can't see the destination. When you're constantly moving, you start to mistake activity for progress. But motion without direction is just noise. Silence helps you realign, recenter, and remind yourself why you start. It's where you pause, reflect, and refocus. That's how you sustain your momentum without burning out. There's also a kind of power that comes from not responding to everything. When you embrace silence, you learn that you don't have to answer every insult, defend every opinion, or react to every situation. Not every battle deserves your energy. Sometimes the strongest statement you can make is silence. Silence confuses the enemy. It frustrates the doubters. It shows discipline. When you're unbothered, when you refuse to let negativity pull you out of character, you rise above the chaos. That's emotional mastery. And emotional mastery is a form of focus. When you can stay calm in the storm, when you can think clearly while everyone else panics, that's when you're unstoppable. Stillness also sharpens your intuition. In the noise of life, it's easy to lose touch with that inner voice that guides you. But in silence, you reconnect with it. You start to recognize the difference between what feels right and what just looks right. The world will always try to tempt you with things that glitter but aren't gold, opportunities that look appealing but pull you away from your purpose. In silence, you gain the wisdom to discern what's for you and what's not. You stop chasing everything that moves and start walking with intention. You stop being reactive and start being purposeful. That's what happens when you make space for silence. It becomes your compass. People think that being still means doing nothing, but that's not true. Stillness is active. It's the foundation of clarity. It's where your ideas take shape, your emotions settle, and your priorities become clear. You can't plan effectively in noise. You can't make good decisions in chaos. When your mind is cluttered, everything feels urgent, and you end up reacting instead of creating. Silence clears the fog. It helps you see what truly matters and what doesn't. It gives you direction and peace at the same time. Sometimes silence also acts as a mirror. It reflects who you really are, not who you pretend to be for the world. It strips away the layers of noise, social media personas, external validation, opinions, and brings you face to face with your truth. That's uncomfortable, yes, but it's also liberating. Because once you accept your truth, no one can use it against you. Once you know who you are, the noise loses its power. Silence reminds you that your worth isn't defined by how much attention you get, but by how much purpose you carry. When you embrace stillness, you also begin to value peace over popularity. You stop chasing validation from people who don't understand your mission. You stop explaining yourself to those committed to misunderstanding. You stop being addicted to applause. Because silence teaches you to find satisfaction within, not from the crowd. That's when you become truly powerful, when your peace doesn't depend on the world's noise. Now, here's the truth. Silence isn't easy. It's uncomfortable because we're wired to seek stimulation. When you first start practicing stillness, your mind will wander, your body will resist, and your emotions will surface. But stay with it. Because beneath that initial discomfort lies clarity, creativity, and strength. The more you practice silence, the more you'll begin to crave it, not as an escape from the world, but as a return to yourself. Make silence your sanctuary. Let it be where you recharge, where you regain your focus, where you reconnect with your why. Don't wait for life to slow down to find peace. Create peace in the middle of the chaos. When everyone else is panicking, you'll be planning. When others are reacting, you'll be reflecting. When the world is loud, you'll move with calm confidence because you've trained yourself to listen to what truly matters. And here's the most powerful part. Silence amplifies your actions. When you stop talking about what you're going to do and start quietly working on it, your results will make the noise for you. You don't have to prove yourself to anyone when your work speaks volumes. Let your silence build, let your silence build, let your focus refine, and let your success echo. So learn to embrace stillness. Don't run from it, run to it. It's in the quiet that your spirit strengthens, your mind sharpens, and your purpose becomes undeniable. Silence is not emptiness, it's clarity. It's not isolation, it's preparation. Every time you choose silence over chaos, you're building the mental discipline needed to rise above the noise. The world may never stop being loud, but you can always choose to stay grounded, calm, and focused. That's how you block out the noise, not by escaping it, but by mastering peace within it. Listen to me. Every single day, life is trying to distract you. The world is loud. Everybody's talking, everybody's posting, everybody's got an opinion. But if you want to be great, if you want to be the best version of yourself, you've got to learn how to block out the noise. See, noise ain't just sound. It's doubt, it's fear, it's comparison. It's your friends telling you to chill when you should be grinding. It's your own mind telling you you can't do this when deep down you know you can. You've got dreams, right? You've got goals, right? Then you can't afford to let the noise dictate your direction. You can't let outside voices drown out your inner voice. You've got to get so focused that the noise fades. You've got to wake up every day with one thing on your mind: the mission, the purpose, the why. When I was homeless, I had noise all around me. People telling me to quit, to give up, to settle. But I decided to lock in, I decided to believe in me. And when you believe in you, you become dangerous because focus makes you unstoppable. So today I'm challenging you. Stop scrolling, stop comparing, stop listening to opinions that don't build you. Get quiet, get focused, get hungry, because when you block out the noise, you can finally hear the music of your destiny. I need you to hear this with your heart, not just your ears. Every single one of you has greatness inside. Every one of you was born with something special, something that this world needs. But you'll never reach that level if you keep letting distractions run your life. You can't chase destiny while you're checking notifications. You can't build an empire when you're glued to the noise around you. Everybody says they want success until it's time to get focused. Everybody loves the idea of greatness, but they don't love the process that comes with it. Let me tell you something. Greatness don't happen in chaos. It don't happen when your mind's scattered, when your energy's divided, when you're halfway in and halfway out. Greatness happens in the quiet moments. It happens when you turn down the volume of the world and lock in on the mission. See, distractions, they're silent killers. They don't hit you all at once. They chip away at your focus little by little. One extra scroll, one more episode, one more hour talking about somebody else's business. And before you know it, you've spent another day watching instead of working, reacting instead of creating, existing instead of living. You can't get that time back. Let me be real with you. We live in a world that thrives on distraction. The system don't want you focused. It wants you scrolling, comparing, consuming. Every app, every platform, every commercial is designed to steal your attention. Why? Because attention is currency. But listen to me, your attention is sacred. Your focus is your power. And if you keep giving it away to every noise, every notification, every piece of gossip, you'll never have enough left to build your dream. You've got to make a decision right now that you're not going to let distractions control you. You've got to be intentional with your time, because greatness ain't about talent. It's about discipline. It's about what you choose to ignore. Some of you, you're talented, but you can't stay focused long enough to see the results. You start strong. You're on fire the first week, maybe the first month. Then life starts throwing noise your way and you lose momentum. Somebody posts something that gets under your skin. A friend calls you to hang out. Netflix drops a new season. And you tell yourself, I'll get back to it tomorrow. But tomorrow never comes. That's the trap. That's how distractions kill dreams. Not all at once, but slowly. They get you to trade long-term fulfillment for short-term pleasure. They get you comfortable. They make you forget the hunger you had when you started. You lose sight of the reason you began in the first place. Listen, greatness requires sacrifice. And one of the biggest sacrifices you've got to make is the comfort of distraction. You've got to be willing to say no to the things that pull you away from your purpose. You've got to protect your time like it's gold, because it is. When I was coming up, I didn't have much. I was sleeping in abandoned buildings. I was broke. But even then, I knew I had something inside me. I knew that if I could just lock in, if I could just stay focused, I could change my life. And that's what I did. I blocked out everything that wasn't feeding my dream. I didn't care about being popular. I didn't care about being liked. I cared about being effective. You've got to get to a place where you're so focused that people think you've disappeared. They're texting you, calling you, tagging you, and you're nowhere to be found because you're in the lab. You're in grind mode. You're building something they can't see yet. You're working while they're watching. You're planting seeds while they're scrolling. And here's the crazy part. When you finally show up with the results, those same people who were laughing, who were doubting, who were wondering where you went, they'll be the ones asking how you did it. But the truth is, there's no secret. You just did what they weren't willing to do. You silenced the distractions. Some of y'all keep saying, E.T., I don't have time. No, you've got time. You're just wasting it on things that don't matter. You've got 24 hours just like everybody else. The difference between successful people and unsuccessful people ain't the amount of time they have. It's how they use it. You can't complain about not having opportunities if you keep letting distractions rob you of preparation. You can't ask for elevation when you won't make room for focus. You've got to be ruthless with your focus. You've got to treat it like oxygen, like you can't live without it, because truth is you can't live your purpose without it. When you silence distractions, you start to hear your own voice again. You start to reconnect with your purpose.
You start to move with intention instead of impulse. You start to feel power, real power, the kind that comes from clarity. Let me ask you, what's pulling your attention away from your goals right now? Be honest. Who or what is keeping you from staying locked in? Because if you don't identify it, it's going to keep running your life in the background. Distractions don't just disappear on their own. You've got to confront them. Maybe it's your phone. Maybe it's your environment. Maybe it's the people around you. Whatever it is, you've got to create distance, because if it costs you your focus, it costs you your future. Some of you, you've got too many people in your ear. Everybody's got advice. Everybody's got opinions. But listen, if they're not living the life you want, why are you listening to them? You've got to protect your energy. You've got to be selective about who you let influence you, because every voice you entertain takes up space in your mind. I'm not saying isolate yourself forever. I'm saying prioritize your purpose. There's a season for everything. And when you're in your building season, you got to cut out the noise. When you're trying to become the best version of yourself, you can't afford to be distracted by what everybody else is doing. Focus is lonely. Let me say that again. Focus is lonely. You might lose friends. You might miss parties. You might get misunderstood. But that's the price of greatness. Every legend, every icon, every person who did something extraordinary, they had to go through a season of silence, a season where they were grinding in the dark, ignored, overlooked, counted out. But when the spotlight finally hit them, people called it success. What they didn't see was the focus that came before the fame. You've got to be okay with that. You've got to be okay with working in silence while the world makes noise, because eventually your results will make the loudest sound. When you silence distraction, something powerful happens. You start moving with clarity. You stop reacting and start creating. You stop doubting and start doing. You stop waiting and start winning. Focus is a habit. You've got to train it. Every time you choose purpose over distraction, you strengthen that muscle. You build discipline. You build momentum. And soon, what used to tempt you won't even move you anymore. But it starts with a choice. Right now, are you going to keep letting distractions dictate your destiny, or are you going to take control? I need you to decide that nothing, no noise, no negativity, no nonsense will stop you from getting what's yours. I need you to be so committed to your dream that distractions become invisible. When you wake up, I want you thinking about your goals. When you go to bed, I want you reviewing your progress. Every hour in between, I want you locked in. No excuses, no detours, just focus. Because listen, the dream is fragile. It needs your full attention. You can't halfway chase greatness. You can't multitask your purpose. Either you're in or you're out. So I need you to make a promise to yourself. From this moment on, you're going to silence the distractions. You're going to protect your time, your energy, your focus like it's your most valuable asset, because it is. Don't let the world convince you that busyness equals progress. Don't mistake movement for momentum. Focus action. That's what changes your life. That's what builds legacies. That's what separates winners from wishers. So if you really want it, if you're serious about your dreams, it's time to get quiet. It's time to cut the noise. It's time to focus so hard that the world has no choice but to notice when you rise. Because greatness don't come to the distracted. It comes to the dedicated. It comes to the disciplined. It comes to the ones who know how to silence the distractions and listen to the sound of their purpose. Listen to me. Your biggest competition in life is not that person you see on social media. It's not the guy in your class who gets better grades. It's not that woman in your field who's killing it right now. No, your biggest competition is the voice inside your head that keeps telling you you're not enough. That quiet, sneaky, persistent voice that whispers, you can't do this, every time you start to believe you can. That's the real enemy. That's the battle you've got to win every single day. See, too many people spend their energy watching what everybody else is doing. They're looking left and right, comparing their journey, measuring their progress against someone else's timeline. But listen to me. You're not running their race. You're not living their story. You're not meant to be them. You're meant to be you, and that's your power. The problem is you can't see your own greatness when you're blinded by comparison. You can't hear your own purpose when you're tuned into everyone else's channel. Every single one of us has that inner voice. That critic is the same voice that makes excuses, the same voice that tells you to quit when things get tough, the same voice that reminds you of your failures but forgets your victories. That voice will steal your potential if you let it. It'll talk you out of your blessings before you even start walking toward them. That's why you got to learn to control the conversation in your head. Because if you don't control your thoughts will control you. Let me tell you something. Doubt is sneaky. It doesn't show up wearing a sign. It hides in comfort. It hides in procrastination. It hides in excuses like I'll start tomorrow or I'm just not ready yet. And you start to believe it. You start to settle. You start to shrink to fit inside your own fear. But the truth is, the only thing holding you back is the story you keep telling yourself. You say you want success, but when it's time to move, your mind starts whispering, what if I fail? What if people laugh? What if I'm not good enough? Listen to me. What if you win? What if this is the moment everything changes? What if the thing you've been afraid to start is the very thing that unlocks your destiny? You've got to stop letting fear write your story. You've got to stop letting self-doubt be the loudest voice in the room. Because your purpose, your potential is buried underneath all that noise. The more you feed your fear, the stronger it gets. But the more you act in spite of it, the weaker it becomes. You think your competition is outworking you? No, your competition is the part of you that keeps hitting snooze. The part of you that says, I'll do it later. The part of you that settles for average when you were built for excellence. The part of you that listens to excuses instead of executing on effort. That's who you're fighting against. When I was homeless, when I was sleeping in abandoned buildings, my biggest fight wasn't against the world. It was against myself. I had to convince myself every day that I was worth something. I had to fight the voice that told me I'd never get out. I had to fight the part of me that wanted to give up. And every day I chose to fight. I got stronger. Every day I pushed through that doubt. I grew. And now I'm standing here because I beat the old me, the one who didn't believe. You've got to do the same. You've got to beat that version of yourself that keeps holding you back. You've got to kill that voice that keeps saying you can't. You've got to stop being afraid of your own potential, because listen, it's not your failures you're scared of. It's your greatness. You're scared of what will happen if you actually commit. You're scared of how powerful you really are. Stop competing with other people and start competing with your old habits. Compete with your laziness. Compete with your inconsistency. Compete with your comfort zone every day. Your goal should be to wake up and be better than you were yesterday. That's the only competition that matters. Some of y'all are losing battles you were never supposed to fight because you were too busy comparing your chapter 1 to somebody else's chapter 20. You're looking at their highlight reel and calling it truth. You see their success, but you don't see their struggle. You see the reward, but not the years of work that built it. Stop wasting your energy wishing you had what they have. Use that energy to build your own lane. You've got to understand, comparison is the thief of joy. Every time you compare, you rob yourself of peace, you rob yourself of gratitude, and you rob yourself of progress. Because when you're focused on them, you stop focusing on you. And your growth stops when your attention leaves your purpose. Your job is not to be better than anyone else. Your job is to fulfill the assignment on your life. Your job is to wake up, grind, and give your best every single day. That's it. You're not competing with people. You're competing with potential. You're competing with the version of yourself that didn't give 100%. Let me ask you something. When was the last time you gave your all? I mean, everything. No distractions, no excuses, no halfway effort, because that's how you win against doubt. That's how you defeat fear. You show up every day, even when it's hard. You keep moving, even when it doesn't make sense. You keep believing, even when it feels impossible. Listen, the mind is powerful. It can build you up or break you down. The thoughts you feed it determine the life you live. If you keep telling yourself you can't, your brain will find proof. But if you tell yourself you can, if you start speaking life instead of limitation, your actions will follow your belief. You've got to reprogram your mindset. You've got to start seeing yourself as capable, as strong, as enough. Stop waiting for the world to believe in you. Believe in yourself first. Because if you don't see your own value, nobody else will. You've got to walk with conviction. You've got to move like it's already done. You've got to show up like the person you're becoming, not the person you used to be. You keep saying, E.T., I just want to be successful. Okay, but success starts inside. Success is mental before it's physical. You can't achieve what you don't first believe. You can't manifest what your mind rejects. So before you build the business, build your confidence. Before you chase the dream, chase discipline. Before you conquer the world, conquer yourself. You're not losing because someone else is better. You're losing because you keep underestimating your own power. You've got to stop letting fear run your life. Fear will keep you small. Fear will make you overthink until the opportunity passes. Fear will make you settle when you were made to soar. But courage says, I'm scared, but I'm doing it anyway. Every time you push past doubt, every time you choose action over anxiety, you get closer to the best version of yourself. And that version, that disciplined, focused, fearless version, that's who you've got to compete with every day. You've got to hold yourself accountable. Don't let yourself off the hook. When you say you're going to do something, do it. When you set a goal, chase it like your life depends on it, because in a way it does. Your future depends on the decisions you make right now. And let me tell you something powerful. When you stop competing with others and start competing with yourself, life gets peaceful. You stop chasing validation. You stop comparing timelines. You stop needing approval because you're too busy building. You're too busy growing. You're too busy becoming. You start to realize that your journey is unique. Your pace is your pace. Your story is still being written. You don't have to rush. You don't have to compare. You just have to keep moving forward one step at a time with consistency and belief. Every time you face that inner voice that says you can't, answer it with action. Prove it wrong. Let your work speak louder than your doubt. Let your progress silence your fear. Let your grind tell the story. You're in control. The battle is inside, and you've got everything you need to win it. You just have to decide that you're done letting self-doubt steal your destiny. You have to decide that you're done playing small because of fear. You have to decide that the old version of you, the lazy, fearful, distracted version, no longer runs the show. You've got to take back your mind. You've got to take back your confidence. You've got to look in the mirror and say, I'm done competing with anybody else. The only person I'm trying to be is the person I was yesterday. Because the truth is, when you master that, when you beat the inner voice, when you conquer your own mind, nobody out there can stop you. Nobody can touch you, because the hardest battle is already won. So stop looking around, stop comparing, stop doubting, start believing, start building, start becoming. Because the moment you stop competing with others and start competing with yourself, that's the moment you unlock your greatness. And that's the moment you become unstoppable. You can't hear your purpose through chaos. You can't discover your destiny when your life is loud, when your environment is cluttered, when your mind is filled with noise. Purpose speaks softly. It's not going to shout over your distractions. It's not going to fight for your attention. You've got to make room for it. You've got to create stillness so you can actually hear what life is trying to tell you. We live in a world that glorifies noise. Everybody's talking, everybody's posting, everybody's trying to be seen, but almost nobody is listening. Nobody's slowing down long enough to ask, why am I really here? You're so busy chasing the next thing, scrolling the next feed, reacting to the next headline, that you've forgotten how to just be still. And in that silence, that's where clarity lives. That's where you meet your purpose. See, chaos is the enemy of clarity. You can't build something meaningful when your thoughts are racing in 100 different directions. You can't make wise decisions when you're constantly overstimulated. Some of you keep saying, I don't know what I'm supposed to do with my life. But it's not that you don't know. It's that you can't hear the answer because there's too much noise around you. When you wake up, the first thing you grab is your phone. Before you even speak to yourself, before you even thank God for another day, you're already feeding your mind with other people's opinions. And then you wonder why you feel confused, why you feel lost, why your energy is scattered. It's because you haven't created any space to hear your own thoughts. Listen to me. Purpose is revealed in silence, not in noise. It's in the quiet moments when you're alone, reflecting, praying, journaling, thinking. That's when the truth about who you are begins to surface. That's when the voice inside you gets louder, the one that says you're meant for more. But if you never give that voice a chance to speak, you'll spend your whole life running on autopilot. doing what everybody else does, living without direction. You've got to learn how to disconnect to reconnect. You've got to unplug from the chaos so you can plug into your calling. Because right now, your soul is trying to send you messages, but your mind is too busy to receive them. Every notification, every text, every distraction is static on the line. And until you clear that static, you'll never hear the signal. When I was young, before the world knew my name, before I was standing on stages, I spent a lot of time in silence. I'd sit with my notebook and write down my thoughts. I'd talk to God. I'd ask, why did you put me here? I wasn't listening to music. I wasn't watching TV. I wasn't on social media. I was alone with my thoughts. And that's when it started to make sense. That's when I began to understand that my pain had a purpose, that my story had power, that my voice could change lives. If I had stayed distracted, if I had kept chasing the noise, I never would have heard that call. And that's what I want you to understand. Sometimes your next level is not about doing more. It's about doing less. It's about cutting out what doesn't matter so you can focus on what does. Some of you are addicted to chaos. You're uncomfortable with silence. The moment things get quiet, you grab something to fill the space. You don't realize that silence is sacred. It's not empty. It's full of answers. It's full of guidance. It's full of direction. But you'll never access it if you keep running from it. You've got to get comfortable being still. You've got to learn how to sit with yourself. Because if you can't be alone with your thoughts, how can you expect to understand your purpose? Purpose requires reflection. It requires listening, not to the world, but to your spirit. Listen. The world is loud on purpose. The noise isn't accidental. Every brand, every platform, every algorithm is fighting for your attention. Because if they can keep you distracted, they can control you. They can sell you things, influence your behavior, make you forget your own mission. But the moment you go quiet, the moment you step back and listen, you take your power back. You stop reacting and start creating. You stop following and start leading. Purpose is not found in the crowd, it's found in the quiet. Think about it. Every major breakthrough in life comes after a moment of silence, a moment of reflection. The greatest thinkers, creators, and leaders, they all had moments when they disconnected from the world to connect with something higher. They isolated to elevate. So I'm telling you, it's okay to take a step back. It's okay to put your phone down. It's okay to log out. The world will still be there when you return. But when you come back, you'll be stronger. You'll be clearer. You'll be aligned. Some of you keep praying for direction, but God's like, I've been trying to talk to you, but you won't stop moving. You won't stop talking. You won't stop scrolling. You keep asking for signs, but you're surrounded by noise. How can you see clearly when your eyes are constantly distracted? How can you hear clearly when your ears are filled with chaos? You've got to make a decision to protect your peace. Peace is the foundation for purpose. You can't build something strong on a shaky mind. You can't move forward when your spirit's overwhelmed. Peace doesn't mean life is perfect. It means you've learned how to silence what doesn't serve you. Sometimes that means saying no. Sometimes that means walking away. Sometimes that means cutting off people, habits, or routines that bring more confusion than clarity. And I know it's not easy. I know silence can feel uncomfortable at first, but that discomfort, that space is where transformation happens. In the stillness, you start to see what really matters. You start to realize how much time you've been wasting chasing things that don't align with your purpose. You start to remember what you love. What drives you, what makes you come alive. You start to rediscover yourself. When you live in chaos long enough, you forget who you are. You become a reflection of your environment. You start mimicking the noise instead of mastering your purpose. You start reacting to life instead of directing it. But when you quiet the chaos, you get back to your truth. You remember your values, your goals, your mission. You can't hear purpose through chaos because chaos confuses you. It makes you chase trends instead of timeless principles. It makes you react emotionally instead of responding intentionally. It makes you follow what's urgent and forget what's important. So here's what I need you to do. I need you to build quiet into your daily life. Schedule silence like it's a meeting with your destiny. Wake up earlier before the world gets loud. Sit in stillness, reflect, write down your thoughts, meditate, pray, think, give your purpose a chance to speak. And when you start doing that consistently, something incredible happens. You start to hear things you've never heard before, ideas, insights, direction. You start to notice patterns in your life that were invisible in the noise. You start to feel guided And that's when you know you're aligned with your purpose. When you find that clarity, your energy changes. You stop moving aimlessly. You stop wasting time. You stop chasing every opportunity that comes your way, because now you know what's for you and what's not. You move with intention. You make decisions with confidence. You attract peace instead of chaos. And here's the beauty. Once you find that peace, it becomes your power. You don't let people pull you into drama anymore. You don't let the world dictate your mood. You become grounded. You become focused. You become unstoppable. But you can't skip the silence. You can't bypass the stillness. You can't shortcut clarity. You've got to do the inner work. You've got to face your own thought. You've got to sit in the quiet long enough for the truth to rise to the surface. It's like a muddy lake. When the water is stirred up, everything looks cloudy. But when it's still, the dirt settles and suddenly you can see clearly to the bottom. That's what silence does for your mind. It lets the chaos settle so you can finally see what's been there all along. Purpose is not something you find. It's something you hear. It's already inside you, waiting to be recognized. But it can't compete with the noise. It's patient. It's quiet. It's waiting for you to turn down the volume of the world so you can turn up the volume of your soul. You've got to decide, do you want to stay lost in the noise or do you want to live in purpose? Because you can't do both. One requires chaos. The other requires calm. One drains you. The other fulfills you. One distracts you. The other defines you. So take a breath, slow down, step away from the noise. Give yourself permission to pause. The answers you've been looking for aren't out there. They're in you. You've just got to get quiet enough to hear them, because when you finally silence the chaos and listen to your inner voice, you'll realize that purpose was never hiding. It was whispering the whole time. People's opinions are not your reality. What they say about you, what they think about you, what they assume about you, none of that defines who you are or what you can become. Too many of you are living your life according to someone else's script. You're letting people who don't even know your story tell you what's possible for you. You're letting their doubt become your direction, their criticism become your ceiling. But you've got to understand this. Nobody else gets to write your story but you. Everybody's got something to say. The world is loud with opinions. The moment you try to do something different, the moment you start chasing your dream, people will start talking. Some will doubt you. Some will criticize you. Some will laugh at you. And you know what? That's fine. Because their opinions don't pay your bills. Their opinions don't live your life. Their opinions don't walk in your shoes. So why are you giving them power over your peace? You can't let other people's limited perspective shrink your potential. Some people can only see you through the lens of their own fear. They'll project their insecurities onto you. They'll say, you can't do that, when what they really mean is, I can't imagine doing that. You've got to stop internalizing their limitations. Just because they couldn't doesn't mean you can't. Just because they quit doesn't mean you will. Listen, the world will always have something to say, whether you win or lose. You could be doing everything right and still have critics. You could be doing nothing at all and still have haters. So stop trying to please everybody. The truth is, if you try to please everyone, you'll end up pleasing no one, especially not yourself. I learned a long time ago that people's opinions change with the wind. One day they'll cheer for you. The next, they'll tear you down. One minute they'll say you're amazing. The next, they'll say you fell off. You can't build your identity on something that unstable. You've got to build it on truth. You've got to build it on self-belief. When I was coming up, when I was grinding before the world knew my name, people used to laugh at me. They said, E.T., why are you yelling? Why are you always screaming in your videos? They told me I'd never make it motivational speaking full time. They said, that's not a real job. And if I had listened to them, if I had let their opinions define my reality, you wouldn't even know who I am today. But I didn't listen. I kept going. I trusted the vision even when nobody else could see it. That's what you've got to do. You've got to learn to trust yourself when the world doesn't. You've got to believe in your dream when it's just you and your faith, because in the beginning, it will just be you. No validation, no applause, no support, just belief. But that's enough. If you protect it. Too many people never reach their potential because they're too worried about how it looks. They're too worried about what people will say. But listen to me, purpose doesn't need approval. You don't need permission to be great. You don't need a committee to confirm your calling. Some of y'all are waiting for validation from people who are just as lost as you are. You're waiting for someone else to give you the green light, when the truth is God already gave you the assignment. You don't need them to agree with it. You just need to walk in it. Every time you let somebody else's opinion stop you, you delay your destiny. Every time you let criticism make you doubt yourself, you lose momentum. Every time you let judgment break your spirit, you rob yourself of growth. You've got to be stronger than that. You've got to build your confidence to the point where outside voices can't shake your inner conviction. People are going to talk whether you win or lose, so you might as well win. You might as well do the thing they said you couldn't do. You might as well build the dream they laughed at. Because here's what's powerful. When you finally succeed, those same voices that doubted you will be the first to say they believed in you all along. That's why you can't take it personal. Don't let it distract you. Let it drive you. Listen, if you spend all your time trying to prove people wrong, you'll burn out. But if you spend your time trying to prove yourself right, you'll rise up. There's a difference. One comes from ego. The other comes from purpose. Don't do it for applause. Do it because it's who you are. Do it because you can't not do it. Do it because your soul knows it's what you were born to do. Some of you are carrying opinions from years ago, voices from your past that told you you'd never make it. Maybe it was a teacher who said you weren't smart enough, or a parent who didn't believe in your dream, or friends who laughed when you said what you wanted to become. And now, even though they're not around, their words still echo in your head. You've got to let that go. You've got to stop replaying that tape, because every time you listen to it, you give it new life. The only voice that should define your direction is your own. The only opinion that should matter is the one you have when you look in the mirror. Ask yourself, am I doing what I was created to do? If the answer is yes, then keep going. If it's no, then adjust. But don't base your life's direction on what other people think. I need you to understand this. Opinions are temporary, but purpose is permanent. The same people who doubted you will forget they ever said a word once you start winning. But you can't wait for that moment to believe in yourself. You've got to believe before the results. You've got to have faith before the evidence. Sometimes people will try to define you by your past, by what you used to be, by what you used to do. But listen, that's not who you are anymore. You're evolving, you're growing, you're becoming. Don't let anybody hold you hostage to a version of you that no longer exists. You get to decide who you are. Every day is another chance to rewrite your story. People's opinions will try to distract you from your purpose. They'll try to make you doubt yourself right before your breakthrough. That's how it always works. The noise gets loudest right before the victory. So when the voices start getting louder, that's not a sign to quit. That's a sign to push harder. You've got to have tunnel vision. You've got to lock in so deeply that outside chatter doesn't even reach you. Because when you're truly focused, people's opinions start to fade. You stop needing approval because you're too busy chasing alignment. You stop seeking validation because you've already validated yourself. Here's the truth. The people who criticize you the most are usually the ones doing the least. They've got time to talk because they're not walking. They've got time to judge because they're not building. You can't take direction from people who've never been where you're going. You've got to keep your eyes on the mission. Don't let praise inflate you, and don't let criticism deflate you. Stay grounded, stay consistent, because when your focus is pure, opinions don't matter. The noise fades and only the work speaks. Your results will speak louder than any critic ever could. When you show up with excellence, when you stay consistent, when you keep growing, the same people who doubted you will have to respect the results. You won't even need to say, I told you so. Your success will say it for you. But to get there, you got to build that mental armor. You got to learn how to separate constructive feedback from destructive noise. Some people will offer advice to help you grow. Listen to those. But most people are just projecting. You've got to learn to recognize the difference. Don't confuse opinions with truth. Opinions are personal. Truth is universal. Opinions are emotional. Truth is consistent. Opinions are influenced by fear, ego, and misunderstanding. But truth is found in alignment, in authenticity, in peace. When you're living your truth, opinions can't shake you. When you know who you are, the world can't label you. When you're rooted in purpose, other people's approval becomes irrelevant. That's freedom. That's power. That's when you stop living reactively and start living intentionally. So stop explaining yourself to people who are committed to misunderstanding you. Stop trying to convince people to believe in something that wasn't meant for them to understand. Not everyone is supposed to see your vision. That's why it was given to you and not them. Your job is not to make everyone like you. Your job is to make your life meaningful. Your job is to fulfill your calling. Your job is to keep walking in faith, even when nobody claps. Because when it's all said and done, people's opinions will fade, trends will change, voices will go silent, but your purpose, your impact, your legacy will remain. So keep your head up, keep your spirit strong. Stop letting outside voices control your inner peace. The world will always talk. Let them. While they're talking, you'll be transforming. While they're watching, you'll be working. While they're doubting, you'll be doing. Because in the end, people's opinions don't define you. Your actions do. Your persistence does. Your faith does. Your purpose does. So walk tall, speak truth, and keep moving forward. The noise can't stop you when you know who you are and why you're doing it. Listen to me. Focus is a superpower. Most people don't understand that. They think success comes from talent, from connections, from luck. But I'm telling you, none of that matters without focus. Focus is what separates the great from the average. Focus is what takes a dream and turns it into reality. Focus is what turns effort into excellence. You can have all the potential in the world, but if your attention is scattered, if your energy is divided, you'll never tap into that potential. The problem is we live in a world that rewards distraction. Everywhere you look, somebody's trying to steal your attention. Ads, notifications, opinions, noise. We've gotten so used to reacting that we've forgotten how to concentrate. But the truth is, nothing great has ever been built without deep, consistent focus. You can't master anything halfway. You can't grow something meaningful if you're only showing up when it's convenient. Focus is the discipline to stay locked in, even when everything around you is fighting for your attention. You've got to treat your focus like it's sacred, because it is. Focus determines direction. Where your focus goes, your energy flows. You can't expect to reach your goals if your mind is constantly bouncing between distractions. You can't expect clarity if you're always overwhelmed. Focus is the ability to say, this is what matters most right now, and give it your full energy. Some of you are wondering why you're not seeing progress, but it's not because you're lazy. It's because you're distracted. You start something, and before you can finish, you get pulled into something else. You've got 5 open doors and no progress through any of them. That's why you're tired. That's why you feel stuck. It's not the work that's draining you. It's the lack of focus. You can't chase 10 things and expect to catch one. You've got to decide what deserves your attention. You've got to prioritize what really matters. Every time you say yes to something unimportant, you're saying no to something that could change your life. Focus is not about doing more. It's about doing what matters most and doing it well. When I was coming up, I had to learn that lesson the hard way. I used to chase everything. Every idea, every opportunity, every new thing that looked good, but I wasn't getting anywhere. Then I realized you can't go deep if you keep starting over. You've got to pick a lane, lock in, and go all the way. That's when things started to change for me. That's when doors started opening. That's when momentum started building, because my energy wasn't scattered anymore. It was concentrated. Think about a magnifying glass. When you hold it over a piece of paper, nothing happens until you focus the light. When the rays are concentrated, that same sunlight can start a fire. That's what focus does. It takes the energy you already have and amplifies it. It turns ordinary effort into extraordinary results. You've got to learn to protect your focus from the world. You can't let everyone and everything have access to you. Not every call needs to be answered. Not every notification needs to be checked. Not every argument needs your response. Every moment you give to distractions is a moment stolen from your dream. Discipline and focus go hand in hand. You can't have one without the other. Focus is not something that just happens. It's something you build through repetition. Every time you choose the task over the distraction, you strengthen that muscle. Every time you keep working when it's boring, when it's quiet, when nobody's watching, that's focus. That's power. Some of y'all are praying for success, but success can't find you because you're not consistent enough for it to recognize you. You keep changing directions every time something gets hard. You're not losing because you're incapable. You're losing because you won't stay locked in long enough to see results. I need you to understand this. Focus requires sacrifice. You can't have focus and comfort at the same time. You can't grow while staying distracted. If you want something different, you've got to give up something familiar. You might have to turn off the TV. You might have to stop hanging around people who drain your energy. You might have to say no to things that look fun, but don't feed your future. That's the price of focus. You got to get to a place where you're okay being misunderstood. When you're locked in, people will think you're antisocial. They'll say you've changed and they'll say you've disappeared. That's okay, because focus looks like isolation to people who don't have discipline. They don't understand that you're not ignoring them. You're investing in yourself. When I was grinding in the early days, I wasn't at parties. I wasn't hanging out. I was in the lab, working, studying, creating, growing. People didn't see the vision. They thought I was wasting time. But when the results showed up, they finally understood. That's what focus does. It keeps you working in the dark so you can shine in the light. And here's the truth. Focus gives you peace. When you know what you're working toward, you stop stressing about everything else. You stop comparing your path to other people's. You stop worrying about what's next because you're fully engaged in what's now. That's where power lives, in presence. When you're focused, you're not scattered. You're centered. You're aligned. You've got to learn to quiet your mind. You can't focus externally if you're distracted internally. That means you've got to get rid of negative self-talk, fear, and doubt. You've got to create mental space for your vision to live. That's why meditation, prayer, or reflection matter. They reset your focus. They remind you of your why. Some of you keep losing focus because you forgot your why. You started strong, but somewhere along the way, you lost sight of the reason you began. You got comfortable. You got distracted. You started chasing approval instead of purpose. But listen, when you remember your why, focus becomes easier. When you have a clear reason, it gives you the discipline to keep going even when it's hard. You've got to build a life around your focus. That means creating an environment that supports your goals. If you're trying to grow, don't surround yourself with people who are comfortable staying the same. If you're trying to be disciplined, don't keep distractions closed. Your environment either feeds your focus or feeds your failure. Focus is also about consistency, doing the small things every day, even when they feel insignificant, because greatness isn't built in big bursts. It's built in daily discipline. Every rep, every hour, every repetition compounds, but you'll never see that compound effect if you keep starting and stopping. Let me tell you something real. Focus feels boring sometimes. It's repetitive. It's not glamorous. You're not going to feel motivated every day, but that's exactly why most people quit. They confuse excitement with progress, but focus isn't about excitement. It's about execution. It's about doing what needs to be done, even when you don't feel like it. That's the difference between amateurs and professionals. Amateurs wait for inspiration. Professionals work through discipline. You've got to fall in love with the process. You've got to find beauty in repetition, because that's where mastery comes from. Not from bursts of passion, but from sustained focus. You think Kobe became great because he practiced when he felt like it? No, he was in the gym when others were sleeping. He was locked in when others were distracted. That's focus. That's why he became a legend. And you got that same potential. You just have to train your focus like he did. You've got to be relentless about your goals. You've got to wake up every day and ask yourself, what deserves my focus today? Because not everything does. Most things don't. You've got to choose what matters most and commit to it fully. There will always be something trying to pull you off track. Fear, doubt, failure, success, other people's opinions. But when you're focused, those things can't stop you. You don't get distracted by noise when your eyes are on the mission. You don't get swayed by emotion when your purpose is clear. Focus makes you dangerous because it gives you direction. It makes your actions intentional. It gives your energy purpose. When you know exactly where you're going, every step, every choice, every sacrifice starts to make sense. You stop wasting time. You stop wasting energy. You stop wasting potential. So I need you to decide right now, what deserves your focus? What's worth giving your full attention to? Because once you choose, everything else has to move out of the way. You can't chase purpose with half your heart. You can't live your dream with divided attention. You've got to go all in. Focus turns ordinary people into extraordinary achievers. Focus turns chaos into clarity. Focus turns effort into excellence. That's why it's a superpower, because once you master it, there's nothing you can't accomplish. So stop letting distractions steal your destiny. Stop scattering your energy. Stop living in fragments. Pick your purpose, lock in, protect your focus like it's the most valuable thing you own, because it is. And once you do, watch how your life changes. Watch how opportunities start finding you. Watch how clarity replaces confusion. Because the moment you decide to truly focus, to give everything you have to one clear mission, that's the moment the world starts moving in your favor. That's when you become unstoppable. Your energy follows your attention. That's not just a nice saying. That's truth. Wherever your attention goes, that's where your energy flows. Whatever you focus on, that's what grows. You can't expect positive results from negative focus. You can't expect progress when your attention is scattered across everything that doesn't move you closer to your purpose. If you're giving your energy to fear, to gossip, to comparison, to distraction, then you're feeding the very things that drain you. But when you learn to direct your attention intentionally, when you choose what deserves your focus, you start creating momentum in the direction of your dreams. Listen to me. Your energy is one of the most powerful forces you have. It's your fuel, your drive, your presence. But here's the problem. Too many people are running out of energy because they're spending it on the wrong things. They wake up already tired, not because they're doing too much, but because they're focused on the wrong stuff. They're feeding worry. They're feeding doubt. They're giving attention to things they can't control. Every thought, every emotion, every conversation, it all costs energy. And most of us are overpaying for things that don't give us any return. You've got to start managing your energy like it's your greatest asset, because it is. Every morning you wake up with a limited amount of focus and energy for that day. The question is, where are you going to invest it? Are you going to waste it on negativity? Or are you going to put it towards something that builds you up? Your energy should always match your goals. If your goal is growth, then your attention has to be on learning, not complaining. If your goal is peace, then your attention has to be on gratitude, not chaos. If your goal is success, then your attention has to be on progress, not excuses. The truth is, your life will always move in the direction of your dominant thoughts. You can't think failure and attract success. You can't think fear and live in freedom. You can't think lack and walk in abundance. Your mind is the control center of your energy, and your energy is the engine that drives your results. If you keep focusing on what's wrong, that's what will multiply. But if you shift your attention to what's possible, to what's good, to what's working, then you start to build momentum that pulls you forward instead of holding you back. When I was coming up, I had to learn this the hard way. I used to let other people's negativity drain my spirit. I used to waste time arguing with people who weren't even trying to grow. I was giving too much attention to what I didn't have instead of focusing on what I could do with what I did have. But the moment I shifted my attention, everything changed. The same situation that used to break me started to build me, not because it got easier, but because my focus got stronger. Energy doesn't lie. People can say they want success, but their focus tells the truth. If you say you want to be great, but your attention is on distractions, you're lying to yourself. You can't give your best energy to nonsense and expect your life to level up. You've got to align your attention with your intention. That's the only way to make real progress. Think about it. When you're deeply focused on something meaningful, you feel alive. You forget the time. You get lost in the process. That's energy flowing freely because your attention is aligned with your purpose. But when you're doing something meaningless, something that doesn't feed your spirit, you feel drained, frustrated, empty. That's because your energy is being pulled in the wrong direction. You've got to learn to become aware of where your attention goes. The moment you catch yourself focusing on something negative, shift it. You're not a victim of your thoughts. You're the driver. You decide what gets your attention. If something doesn't serve your growth, it doesn't deserve your energy. If it doesn't feed your peace, it doesn't deserve your time. You don't owe everyone access to your mind. Protect it. Guard it like treasure. Some of you are losing energy because you're giving attention to things you can't control. You're trying to fix people who don't want to be fixed. You're stressing about opinions that don't matter. You're replaying mistakes you can't change. That's energy wasted. Every ounce of focus you spend on the past is energy stolen from your future. Every thought you give to worry is attention stolen from progress. You can't move forward if your mind is stuck in reverse. You've got to be intentional. Start your day by deciding what deserves your focus. Don't just react, choose. Because if you don't, the world will choose for you. Social media will choose for you. Negativity will choose for you. Distraction will choose for you. You've got to take control of your mental space. You've got to say, my attention is too valuable to be wasted on nonsense. When you give your attention to your purpose, your energy multiplies. When you work on something that aligns with your calling, it feeds you instead of draining you. That's why some people can work 12 hours a day and still feel alive, because they're doing something that matches their mission. But others can work 2 hours and feel exhausted because they're doing something that fights their spirit. It's not the workload that drains you, it's the misalignment. Your energy is always responding to your focus. If you focus on problems, you feel heavy. If you focus on solutions, you feel empowered. If you focus on what's missing, you feel lack. If you focus on what's possible, you feel potential. That's how powerful attention is. It literally changes how you experience life. You ever notice how two people can go through the same situation and come out completely different? One person grows, the other breaks. One finds lessons, the other finds excuses. The difference isn't the situation, it's their focus. The one who grows decided to put attention on growth, on learning, on moving forward. The one who breaks gave all their energy to pain, blame, and bitterness. You become whatever you focus on. Listen, your focus is like a lens. When it's clear and directed, it magnifies what matters. But when it's scattered, it blurs everything. Some of you are living blurry lives because your attention is all over the place. You're trying to do everything. Please everyone, chase every opportunity. But here's the truth. You can't be everywhere and be effective. You've got to choose where your attention goes, because where it goes, your energy follows. You've got to understand that focus doesn't just affect your productivity, it affects your emotions. When your attention is in too many places, your spirit feels stretched. You start feeling anxious, restless, unfulfilled. But when you're locked in, when you're fully engaged with one thing, peace shows up. You feel powerful. You feel in control. That's the difference between a scattered life and a centered one. Attention. And listen, people will always try to pull your attention. That's just life. Some will do it intentionally, some won't. But it's not their job to protect your energy. It's yours. You've got to be the gatekeeper of your own focus. That means learning how to say no. That means not explaining yourself to everyone. That means walking away from drama, from negativity, from things that don't add value. You don't owe every situation your response. You don't have to fight every battle. You don't have to fix every misunderstanding. Sometimes silence is the highest form of focus. Sometimes walking away is the strongest move, because every time you engage with nonsense, you feed it. Every time you respond to negativity, you give it your attention and your energy follows. It's not enough to avoid distractions. You've got to feed focus. You've got to replace wasted attention with intentional action. Every time you catch yourself drifting, pull yourself back. Train your mind to stay present, because presence is power. You can't change the past and you can't control the future, but you can direct your attention right now. And that's where transformation happens, in the now. Your attention determines your attitude. If you wake up focusing on gratitude, your energy feels lighter. If you wake up focusing on problems, your day feels heavier. It's not magic. It's mindset. You get to decide which direction your energy flows by choosing what you pay attention to. When you learn to direct your attention toward growth, purpose, and possibility, life starts responding differently. Opportunities you couldn't see before start appearing. Solutions you thought didn't exist start showing up, because when your attention aligns with your purpose, your energy becomes magnetic. It starts pulling the right people, the right ideas, the right momentum into your life. That's why you can't afford to waste attention. Every thought, every word, every moment is energy. Use it wisely. Spend it like an investor, not like a consumer. Put it where it grows. If something doesn't feed your spirit or your mission, it doesn't deserve your focus. The more intentional you become with your attention, the more powerful your energy becomes. You start walking with confidence. You start speaking with clarity. You stop reacting to life and start creating it, because now your focus and your energy are working together, not against each other. So I'm telling you right now, pay attention to what you're paying attention to, because whatever has your attention has your life. Your energy will always follow your attention. If your attention is on your goals, your growth, your gratitude, then your energy will build, your momentum will grow, and your life will move forward. But if your attention stays on distractions, negativity, and noise, your energy will drain and your purpose will fade. It's your choice. You get to decide what deserves your focus. You get to decide where your energy goes. So choose wisely, because when your attention aligns with your intention, when your focus matches your purpose, there's nothing you can't create. Stop chasing validation. Chase progress. Too many people in this world are addicted to being seen instead of being effective. They want applause more than achievement. They want likes more than legacy. But listen to me, validation fades, progress lasts. You can't build your life on the approval of others, because the same people who clap for you today can boo you tomorrow. You can't build confidence on compliments. You build it through consistency. You can't spend your energy trying to impress people who don't even care about your purpose. Some of you are exhausted, not because you're working too hard, but because you're working for the wrong reasons. You're chasing recognition instead of growth. You're chasing status instead of substance. You're trying to prove something to people who aren't even paying attention. But the truth is, no amount of external validation will ever fill the void that comes from internal doubt. You can't be free until you stop needing to be seen. You can't rise until you stop waiting for permission to rise. Progress isn't loud. Progress doesn't need a stage or a spotlight. Progress is quiet. It's built in silence, in the dark, in the moments when no one is watching. It's built in discipline and focus and sacrifice. Real growth happens when you stop posting about the grind and start doing the grind. It happens when you stop performing for approval and start producing from purpose. You've got to understand this. Validation is a trap. It keeps you chasing something that's never consistent. The moment you get approval, you start fearing the day you'll lose it. You start shaping your actions around what people expect instead of what's true to you. You start living for applause instead of authenticity. But when you chase progress, your focus shifts from pleasing others to becoming better than you were yesterday. And that's where freedom lives. That's where power grows. I remember when I started speaking, there were times I wanted people to notice me. I wanted validation. I wanted someone to say, E.T., you're great. But then I realized something. When you depend on praise, you become a prisoner to it. The moment people stop clapping, your motivation dies. That's when I made a decision. I wasn't going to do it for approval anymore. I was going to do it for impact. I was going to do it because it was my calling. The moment I made that shift, everything changed. Listen, validation feels good, but it doesn't build you. Progress builds you. Every time you show up, every time you keep going when nobody notices, every time you stay disciplined, even when you don't get credit, that's growth. That's what builds confidence, character, and courage. You've got to stop needing to be seen to know you're valuable. You were valuable before they noticed you. You were gifted before they acknowledged you. Your worth doesn't increase when people clap for you, and it doesn't decrease when they don't. Validation is external, but worth is internal. You've got to stop confusing the two. When you chase validation, you live reactive. Your emotions go up and down based on how people respond. One good comment and you feel high. One bad comment and you spiral. That's not power, that's dependence. But when you chase progress, you become stable. You're not moved by opinions because you're anchored in purpose. You're not chasing attention because you're already chasing alignment. Some of you are frustrated because you're doing good work and nobody's acknowledging it. You're showing up every day, putting in the effort, and it feels like nobody sees you. But I'm telling you, that's how it's supposed to be in the beginning. Growth happens in the shadows. Roots grow underground before they ever break the surface. Don't mistake being unseen for being unworthy. You're not being ignored. You're being developed. You're in the process. Progress doesn't need recognition to keep going. Progress is internal fuel. You keep going because you know who you're becoming, not because of who's watching. That's real maturity. When you can celebrate your own growth without needing others to validate it. When you can clap for yourself. When you can look in the mirror and say, I'm proud of how far I've come, even if nobody else says it. Validation is temporary. It's built on trends, emotions, and public opinion. But progress is permanent. Every step forward you take, every lesson you learn, every habit you build, nobody can take that away from you. That's yours. That's the real reward. We've built a culture that measures worth in views, likes, and followers. But listen, numbers don't equal impact. There are people with millions of followers who don't move anyone, and there are people with none who change lives every day. Your worth isn't measured in attention. It's measured in authenticity. It's not about how many people know your name. It's about how many lives you touch, how much you grow, and how true you stay to your purpose. You can't serve two masters, purpose and popularity. One will always suffer. If you're too busy trying to please people, you'll forget to please your purpose. And purpose doesn't care how many people are watching. It only cares how much you're becoming. Every great person you admire had a season when nobody believed in them, when nobody saw their potential, when nobody clapped. But they kept working. They kept moving. They kept growing. That's how they became great. Don't rush your recognition. Let progress earn it for you. When you focus on getting better, when you commit to growth, the results will speak louder than any applause ever could. The world eventually notices consistency. It can't ignore excellence forever. But you've got to be patient enough to work through the seasons of being unseen. The truth is, validation can distract you from your own lane. You start comparing your progress to someone else's praise. You start measuring your worth by other people's timelines. But listen, their path isn't yours. Their timing isn't yours. You don't know the sacrifices they made or the struggles they faced. Stay in your lane. Focus on your growth. Focus on your next step. Because when you're chasing progress, you stop competing with others and start competing with your past self. That's where real growth happens. Sometimes the people you want validation from are the very ones who will never give it. Not because you're not good enough, but because your growth reminds them of what they're not doing. You've got to stop waiting for support from people who aren't built to see your vision. They're not supposed to understand it. It wasn't given to them. It was given to you. You don't need applause when you've got alignment. You don't need validation when you've got vision. When you're walking in your purpose, the reward is in the work. The joy is in the journey. The satisfaction comes from knowing you're better today than you were yesterday. That's progress. That's real success. Chasing validation is like running on a treadmill. You move a lot, but you don't get anywhere. You burn energy, but you stay in the same place. Chasing progress, though, that's forward motion. Every step counts. Every mistake teaches. Every effort compounds. That's how growth happens. Slowly, silently, but powerfully. And here's the thing. The moment you stop chasing validation, you start attracting respect. People respect authenticity. They respect consistency. They respect results. When you're too busy working on yourself, you stop worrying about who's watching. And that's when people start noticing for real. Because there's something magnetic about focus. There's something powerful about quiet confidence. Listen, stop performing and start producing. Stop seeking to be impressive and start aiming to be impactful. You don't need everyone to approve of you. You just need to become everything you're capable of being. Because once you start walking in your truth, the right people will notice. The right doors will open. The right energy will align. Every time you chase validation, you lose a piece of your authenticity. But every time you chase progress, you gain a piece of your power. Validation feeds ego, but progress feeds purpose. One keeps you dependent, the other makes you free. You've got to decide which one matters more. You've got to get to a place where you don't need to post every move for approval. You don't need to explain your grind. You don't need to prove yourself to anyone. You just put your head down, do the work, and let your results do the talking. Because in the end, success is the loudest validation there is. And it doesn't come from people. It comes from persistence. So keep showing up. Keep growing. Keep getting better. You don't need a stage to make progress. You don't need applause to have purpose. You don't need validation to be valuable. The people who matter will see your work when the time is right. The rest don't matter anyway. When you stop chasing validation, you free yourself to build something real. You stop living for the moment and start building for the legacy. You stop needing approval and start becoming unstoppable. Because the moment you shift your attention from being seen to becoming better, that's the moment your life starts to change forever. Discipline speaks louder than motivation. Everybody loves to feel inspired. Everybody loves that rush that comes when you hear a great speech, when you watch a powerful video, when you get hyped up for a moment. But the truth is, motivation fades. It's emotional. It's temporary. It's inconsistent. Discipline, though, discipline stays. Discipline is the quiet force that keeps you moving long after the feeling is gone. Discipline is what separates those who dream from those who do. Motivation is a spark, but discipline is the fire that keeps burning when everything else goes dark. You can't build greatness on motivation alone. You can't depend on how you feel to determine whether you show up, because feelings lie. Some days you'll wake up inspired, some days you won't. Some days you'll want it, and some days you'll question everything. But discipline says, I don't care how I feel. I made a commitment and I'm keeping it. That's what champions do. That's what winners do. They don't wait for the move. They create movement. The truth is, motivation gets you started, but discipline keeps you consistent. Anyone can start strong when they're excited. Anyone can commit when it feels new and easy. But very few people can keep going when the excitement fades, when the results are slow, when the grind gets heavy. That's where discipline shows up. Discipline is doing what needs to be done, even when it's not fun, even when it's not flashy, even when nobody's watching. You've got to understand something. Every time you act on discipline, you're building your strength. Every time you keep a promise to yourself, you build self-respect. Every time you show up when you could have quit, you build confidence. Motivation might make you feel good, but discipline makes you become good. Motivation talks about it. Discipline proves it. Motivation is short term. Discipline builds legacy. When I was coming up, I didn't always have motivation. I didn't always feel inspired. I didn't always have someone cheering me on. There were days I was tired, frustrated, broke, and angry, but I had made a decision. I was going to keep going no matter what. I told myself, if you quit every time you don't feel like it, you'll never make it. And that's what discipline is. It's choosing progress over comfort. It's showing up even when nobody claps. Discipline is not glamorous. It's not about hype. It's about habits. It's waking up early when you'd rather sleep in. It's studying when your friends are out. It's practicing when no one's around. It's saying no to temporary pleasure because you're chasing permanent purpose. Most people lose not because they lack potential, but because they lack discipline. They let their emotions dictate their actions, but emotions can't be trusted. They change with the weather. Discipline doesn't. Think about it like this. Motivation is like a visitor, but discipline is a resident. Motivation knocks on the door when things are exciting, but discipline lives in the house. It's there on the days when you're tired, when you're hurt, when you're unsure. It doesn't need permission to work. It just works. That's why successful people don't rely on motivation. They rely on systems. They rely on routines. They rely on consistency. You've got to train yourself to act regardless of your mood. That's how you win. The moment you start basing your effort on your feelings, you lose control. Because the world doesn't care how you feel. It only responds to what you do. Discipline is the bridge between goals and results. You can set all the goals you want. You can dream as big as you like. But if you don't have the discipline to act daily, it means nothing. Some people ask me, E.T., how do I stay motivated? And I tell them, you don't. You stay disciplined. Motivation will come and go, but discipline will make sure you're ready when motivation shows up again. Discipline makes motivation unnecessary because when you're disciplined, you don't wait to feel ready. You just do it. You show up, you execute, you keep going. You've got to stop relying on hype and start building habits. Hype will get you excited for a moment, but habits will get you results for a lifetime. Habits come from discipline. Discipline comes from choice. Every day you have a choice to do what's easy or to do what's right, to stay comfortable or to stay committed. Every time you choose discipline, you're voting for your future. Every time you choose comfort, you're voting for your excuses. Discipline is quiet. It doesn't need attention. It doesn't post about the grind. It is the grind. It's in the early mornings, the late nights, the unseen effort. It's what builds character when nobody's around to see it. You've got to fall in love with that part. The invisible work, the repetitive effort, the small wins that nobody notices but you. That's where real growth happens. That's where confidence is born. You can't expect results if your effort depends on emotion. You can't grow if you keep quitting when it's uncomfortable. Growth requires discipline because progress happens outside of comfort. The gym hurts. The grind is lonely. The path to greatness isn't smooth, but discipline keeps you moving through it. Discipline tells you, you started this, now finish it. Let me tell you something. Success isn't built on excitement. It's built on endurance. Anyone can show up once. The real ones show up every day. They don't stop because they're tired. They stop when they're done. They don't look for inspiration to start. They use responsibility to stay consistent. That's what makes the difference. That's why discipline will always outperform motivation. When you live by discipline, you stop negotiating with your excuses. You stop waiting for the perfect time. You stop letting laziness and fear make decisions for you. You take control. You decide that your word means something. That when you say you'll do something, you'll do it no matter what. That's power. That's self-mastery. Some of you keep breaking promises to yourself. You say you're going to wake up early and then you hit snooze. You say you're going to start that project and then you procrastinate. Every time you do that, you weaken your self-belief. But every time you follow through, you strengthen it. That's how discipline builds confidence, not through words, but through action. You start trusting yourself again. You start realizing, I don't need to feel ready to be consistent. Discipline is freedom. It sounds like a contradiction, but it's true. When you're disciplined, you're in control. You're not ruled by emotion, distraction, or laziness. You have direction. You have peace. You can rest without guilt because you've earned it. Motivation can hype you up, but only discipline can set you free. You've got to make discipline your default mode. That means doing the hard thing, the boring thing, the uncomfortable thing over and over again, because that's what builds resilience. That's what builds skill. That's what separates the pros from the amateurs. Amateurs wait for motivation. Pros create results through discipline. Look at any great athlete, entrepreneur, or leader. They all have one thing in common: discipline. They didn't get where they are because they always felt like it. They got there because they did it anyway. When it was cold, they trained. When it was hard, they persisted. When it was boring, they stayed consistent because they knew discipline compounds. Every small act adds up. Every day of commitment builds the next. You don't need to be the most talented. You don't need to be the smartest. You don't even need to be the most motivated. You just need to be the most disciplined. Because talent without discipline is wasted potential. Motivation without discipline is wasted energy. But discipline without either, that's unstoppable. And let me tell you something. Discipline isn't built overnight. It's forged through repetition. It's a muscle. The more you use it, the stronger it gets. The first few days is hard. You'll want to quit. Your mind will resist. But every time you push through, you're rewiring yourself for greatness. You're teaching your mind that feelings don't control you. You control you. You've got to commit to the process, not just the result, because discipline isn't about perfection. It's about persistence. You'll slip. You'll miss days. You'll make mistakes. But discipline says, get back up. Discipline says, start again. Motivation says, this feels hard. Stop. Discipline says, this feels hard. Keep going. You got to be so committed to your vision that you'll keep moving, even when nobody believes, even when progress is slow, even when it's uncomfortable, because that's what discipline does. It pushes through pain. It ignores doubt. It outlasts failure. Motivation gets you started. Discipline finishes the race. When you make discipline a lifestyle, everything changes. You start trusting yourself. You start controlling your habits. You start building momentum that can't be stopped. You stop talking about what you're going to do and start living it. Discipline doesn't talk. It acts. It doesn't promise. It performs. It doesn't seek attention. It seeks excellence. So stop waiting to feel ready. Stop waiting for motivation to knock on your door. Stop letting emotions make decisions that discipline should handle. Decide right now that you'll do what needs to be done no matter what. That's how you win. That's how you grow. That's how you become unstoppable, because motivation might get you through a day, but discipline will get you through a lifetime. Motivation makes noise, but discipline makes history. And when it's all said and done, nobody will remember how hyped you were. They'll remember how consistent you were. They'll remember that you showed up. They'll remember that you finished. That's the power of discipline. It speaks louder than any motivation ever could.